Welcome everyone to your City Council regular meeting for today, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. We're going to lead it off with our pledge to the flag, led by our own Jace Weinstein. Jace, come on up here for me, please. Testing to make sure it works. Testing. There you go, sir.
Please stand, face the flag, put your right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. You want to introduce anybody here with you today?
My mama and papa are right there, and my mom and dad are right there.
Anybody else? Do you recognize anybody else?
Not really.
And tell them what school you go to.
I go to Pacific Elementary.
So with that, we're going to have our council members come join us over here. And where's Mayor Pro Tem Joe Franklin? Mayor Pro Tem has a souvenir for you.
Okay, this is a city pin. You see we're all wearing them? Okay, so you can wear it on your jacket.
And to recognize you, Jace, certificate recognition, City Council of the City of Manhattan Beach does hereby recognize you, Jace Weinstein, for leading the City Council and the community in the Pledge of Allegiance dated today, 3rd day of October 2023. That's for you, sir. And now you're going to face that camera with your mom. Well, your mom and dad are going to be over there in the middle taking a picture.
We gotta also line up, so
We're all going to line up and face that middle.
we're in the picture with them.
You're in the picture with them.
Yeah, I'll sit down.
This is the fun part, Jace.
Your favorites now. Thank you.
You got it all? We got it. Well, that's great. There's a highlight, folks. All right, we're going to move to roll call, please.
Councilmember Howorth,
Here.
Councilmember Lesser,
Here.
Councilmember Napolitano,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Franklin,
Here.
Mayor Montgomery.
I am here as well. We're going to move to ceremonial calendar, presentation certificates of recognition to the 2023 Where Community Grows Park Photo Contest winners. Yes. So whoever's here, please come on down.
Come on.
Get the award.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So in no particular order, Daniel Greenberg, front and center, Daniel. Come over here with us and hang out, don't go anywhere. Owen Grady, where's Owen? Owen's out here. Flora, winner. All right, Flora, congratulations there. Mandy Morrissey. All right. Stephanie Fong, is she here? No? Irene White. Probably watching the baseball playoffs. It's okay. Who's this? Nancy Franklin, taking her place among the gaggle. Oh, no, you can sit next to us. We want to thank you. What does yours say there?
Not sure.
Where Community Grows, Parks and Photo Contest founder. Wow, that's fantastic. And yours, what does yours say?
Second place. So for the Parks Photo Contest, age 13 to 17.
Congratulations.
And first place, woo,
I heard the crowd roar on that one.
ages 18 to 54 for Tiny Treasure.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry, ma'am. I forgot.
Second place in the ages plus. For taking her place among the gaggle.
Congratulations to you all. Thank you. And our Mayor Pro Tem will give you all a city pin for your recognition, for your time and efforts. Did you give them all a city pin?
May I just make a
Yes.
Okay, I was going to get some reinforcement from the Parks and Recreation folks, but This was a blind judging, okay? There was no fixing here at all. Is that confirmed? That is confirmed. Okay, just wanted to let everybody know.
With that, let's give them all a round of applause. Hold on, Lisa. Photos?
Squeeze in.
Come on. I'll keep you away from this guy.
Do you want us in the back, or is that too?
No, you're good. We're going to aim right to it. Lisa's here,
How
right?
would you know? You're not behind the lens.
Don't move. How about Dad in the center?
All right.
Awesome.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
That's all right. They got their city pen. They're good.
Wow. I think that's yours.
It'll be the Christmas card. All right, folks, no more ceremonial. We do have one adjournment later on tonight. Want to make sure everybody's aware of that. The next item up, approval of agenda and waiver of full reading of ordinances. I need a first and a second. Anything you want to pull, please let me know now. Anyone? It's going to be pulled, so I need a first and a second.
Motion to approve.
First by Councilmember Lesser. A second by Councilmember Napolitano. Roll call vote, please.
Roll or
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item up is City Council and Community Organization announcements of upcoming events, 1 minute per person. But folks, I'll make an announcement first. It's unfortunate to make these kind of announcements in advance, but I'm going to. It has come to our attention that people have been disrupting council meetings in other cities with anti-Semitic or racially based comments through Zoom. Such comments are disruptive, interfere with the people's business. I'm instructing the city clerk's office to mute any speakers who attempt to disrupt the meeting with anti-Semitic or derogatory comments based upon race, gender, or other protected categories. Just make sure you all heard that very clearly, that we have a no tolerance, zero tolerance policy here. And if you see me make my finger, Martha's going to cut them off and mute them. So you all heard the reason why. This is why. Free speech only goes so far, but you disrupt the meeting, we stop it. So they're going to be cut off. We go to the next speaker. All right, with that, let's go to community announcements, 1 minute in length. Please come on down.
go ahead.
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I am Janet Jones. I am the founder and director of the Single Mom Project. We provide $1,000 grants to low-income, hardworking moms in Hawthorne, Lawndale, Inglewood, Compton, and the area. But tonight, as part of the Single Mom Project, I'm announcing a book drive that we are doing October 14th and 15th here in Manhattan Beach, just to build a bridge between our community and those less fortunate. We will be collecting hundreds and hundreds of books to fill every classroom, all 30 classrooms at Animo South Los Angeles Charter High School. We ask that you donate your new and gently used books so that we can fill these classrooms. They are excited about it. There will be 2 drop-off locations at 2 different homes. And we just would love for you to empty out your bookshelves to fill the bookshelves of this very, very, very worthwhile and needy high school. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Council. Jeff Fialco from Public Works here to announce 3 community events that will be held in the coming weeks to inform the public about upcoming capital improvement projects. The first event will be an informal information session for the 28th Street Stormwater Infiltration Project. This event will be held on-site next Tuesday, October 10th at 26th Street and Manhattan Avenue, and community members are welcome to stop by any time between 4 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. to learn about the project and ask questions. Additionally, on October 24th, a public meeting will be held for the Voorhees Wastewater Pump Station Improvements Project. This meeting will take place at 6 p.m. at the Manhattan Heights Community Center. Lastly, on November 6th, Public Works staff will be holding a meeting at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers to discuss the Cycle 2 Water Infrastructure Improvement Project. Meeting times and locations are shown on the left side of the slide before you, and corresponding project locations are indicated on the map at right. Please note that some projects have more than one location where work will be taking place. For additional information about these meetings, or for information about any of our upcoming or active public works projects, please visit manhattanbeach.gov/engineering. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, members of the council and the mayor. My name is Josh Murray. I'm here on behalf of Manhattan Beach Library. I'd like to invite the community to a very special event at Manhattan Beach Library. Scott and Shana Seeing Beyond on Saturday, October 14th at 1 p.m. Scott Lehman and Shana Unger made history this year as the first deaf Americans to climb Mount Everest. They will be speaking on their experiences climbing some of the world's tallest peaks, overcoming obstacles in their field, and inspiring those around them to see beyond doubts and limitations to achieve their goals. Again, this program will take place at Manhattan Beach Library on Saturday, October 14th at 1 p.m. and is appropriate for all ages. I'd also like to remind the community that Manhattan Beach Library will be closed on Monday, October 9th in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, and we will reopen on Tuesday, October 10th at 10 a.m. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Josh. Our next speaker.
Evening, Mayor Montgomery, City Council, staff, and community of Manhattan Beach. Captain James Falls, Manhattan Beach Fire Department. On behalf of the fire department and your Manhattan Beach firefighters, I'd like to invite everyone here and beyond on Zoom and on the internet to our pancake breakfast we're going to be hosting at Fire Station 1 on Sunday, October 22nd. It's going to be a $10 donation. Will be all-you-can-eat pancakes, so we want to see who can put down the most pancakes and have some fun. It's going to be a great event. We're looking forward to engaging with the community, seeing you all there, and sharing the fire station with everybody. So please come.
Thank you, Captain Falls. No doubt firemen can make good pancakes. Homemade pancakes.
Can't wait to judge them.
All right.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, distinguished council members, city officials, Mr. Lee. My name is Bobby Bell. I am the WM recycling educator for the beautiful city of Manhattan Beach. We are doing our final 2 free events of the year. Sorry, I'm happening on my phone. I just got them today. This Saturday, October 14th, is our last free composting class. It'll be at Manhattan Beach Botanical Gardens in Pollywog Park. Come learn about backyard composting and our organics recycling program that we have in place. Discount composting bins are available for residents to purchase for $35 at the event or year-round by calling WM at 310-830-7100. Once again, 310-830-7100. Our next event is the paper shredding event. That'll be Saturday, October 21st from 9 to 11 at Maricosta High School student parking lot, the corner of Artesia and Peck. All Manhattan Beach residents and businesses are welcome to come. This is a shred event for paper only. Every resident and business owner can bring up to 3 banker boxes to be shred safely and securely, and it is recycled. We do ask for safety and speed, that everybody stay in their vehicle and allow our team to take it out. We'll shred it, get you your boxes back, get you on the way. That's all I got. Have a blessed night.
Hey, Bob, one question.
Yes,
Do you need
sir.
to show any kind of ID to show you're a resident of Manhattan Beach?
No, it's not that big of a turnout, and we do it in other cities, but I refuse to do that to our residents, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Turn Redondo off on this feed, by the way. All right.
Aw.
Our next speakers, please.
Hi, my name is Sienna Saul, and I'm from Maricosta. I'm a sophomore.
And I'm Parker Stickney. I'm a senior at Maricosta, and we're both in ASB. I'm the ASB treasurer, and you are.
I'm from publicity, and we have
welcome.
announcements for what's happening at Costa right now. Maricosta has collected 137 units of blood at our UCLA blood drive on the 21st of September. We have our next varsity football game against PV on the 6th of October, which is senior night, and the theme is whiteout.
We hosted our first ever girls flag football game at Waller Stadium last Thursday. We played 2 games. We won our first game versus Peninsula, then we lost our second game to Redondo. This Wednesday and Thursday is Club Day and Club Rush for Costa. Club Day and Club Rush are 2 days where clubs at Costa can either have people sign up, and they can also raise a lot of money for their clubs. And then Friday, or homecoming, is the 21st of October. The theme of homecoming this year is I Love LA. Our homecoming game will be the October 27th at home versus Redondo Union, and the theme of the game will be blackout.
Sorry, continue. Go ahead.
And the theme of the game will be blackout. That's everything. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Congratulations.
I like that they do that.
Chief.
Well, good evening, Mayor Montgomery, members of the City Council, Rachel Johnson, your police chief. I wanted to talk to the community about two things during community announcements. The first is tomorrow is National Coffee with a Cop Day, and so we are celebrating that at Dunkin'. And I invite the community to please join us at Dunkin' from 10 a.m. to noon. Have a donut, ask questions, meet with some of the police department employees, and we look forward to seeing you at Dunkin' tomorrow. And the second thing I want to talk to the community about is this month I authorize our police department employees to wear pink patches. We sell those to the community as well as these pink patch T-shirts, and all the proceeds from the sale of the patches and the T-shirts benefit the Seroptimists of Manhattan Beach. So I encourage you to purchase one. They will be on sale on Saturday and Sunday at the Hometown Fair, so please visit our booth and pick up either a pink patch T-shirt or a pink patch or both, and we thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, they're very
Both
cool.
those items, especially the Dunkin' one. But I'm not biased.
I'll be there.
Our next community speaker? No one else here? Let's go to Zoom, please, Martha. All right. Representative Franklin, want to start us off, community announcements?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Montgomery. I just want to recall an incident that happened while we were at the League of California Cities in Sacramento the week of September 20th. There were some of us coming home in the evening, and there's, Sacramento, it's no secret they have quite a homeless problem there. And we were walking through, and we had to pass certain numbers of them. And I looked behind where I was walking, and there was our own George Gabriel, our homeless liaison officer or staff member, actually turned around and went back to assist one of the homeless members there. And it turned out that this homeless member was, this homeless person was needing to call 911 and couldn't do it. And so George did that. He stepped in, and I just wanted to congratulate him on doing such a fine job, and know that, he doesn't only work here, he works, I think, wherever he goes. So thank you, George.
That's awesome.
Anyone else on council announcements? Martha, if you don't mind,
Well,
we'll do our thank you too. I'm sorry, do you have a comment?
I mean, just a quick one.
Go ahead.
That I'm sure everybody's aware, but in case you're not, Hometown Fair this weekend, best weekend of the year, starting off with the 10K run that I think Joe's running, but I'm watching with coffee. And the world's shortest parade to open it up, and just a great event. And thank you to the hundreds of volunteers and the team who make that possible. It's going to be a great weekend.
There goes my speech. So the next item up, that's all right, we'll do the thank you for service. Mayor Pro Tem Franklin and I and the council started this off first of the year, recognize our veterans. If there's any veterans here, active duty veterans, National Guard, please rise and let us thank you for your service here. Chief, I think anybody else here? Thank you. Thank you for that. That's important. Let's continue that. Our next item up, Martha, is, what do we have?
Public comment?
I think she has more than one. That's why it's jamming up. There we go. Fun one today. Our next one is, guess where? Halloween night at Dunkin'. Those of you who don't have enough Dunkin' tomorrow, please show up on Halloween night, afternoon, 3:30 at Dunkin' there, 1100 North Sepulveda. After that, November 7th at Pete's downtown. Those are always fun. And after that, Martha, what do we have? Oh, we have our next baby passports. Those of you who know someone or your child was born in Manhattan Beach from January 1st, 20 to yesterday, eligible for our baby passports, you contact our city Lisa, our city clerk, or city clerk Martha, and she'll arrange that. Whose picture is that? I don't recognize that one. It's a new one. All right. It's a quiz.
Nancy Franklin?
Maybe Nancy Hersman's granddaughter? Is that who
No,
it is?
she's had a grandson, and that's way too, no.
All right. So what's the quiz for next time? Anything else we have going on? All right, so we'll move to public comments, 3 minutes in length. Mr. Attorney, do I have to read the statement again?
It's a good idea. Just repeat what you said earlier.
All right. This is going back. You weren't here earlier. This is the public comments announcement. It's come to our attention that people have been disrupting council meetings in other cities with anti-Semitic or racially based comments through Zoom. Such comments are disruptive and interfere with the people's business. I'm instructing the city clerk's office to mute any speakers who attempt to disrupt the meeting with anti-Semitic or derogatory comments based upon race, gender, or other protected categories. Following that, if you're going to speak on an item on the agenda, you speak now. Wait till the item comes up. No 2 bites at the apple here. So with that, please come up and tell us what item you're going to speak on. 3 minutes in length. Come up to the podium and start from there. Anyone?
Good evening, City Councilors. I'm Dennis Fitzgerald. I'm a resident here for roughly 20 years down at 15th Street in Ocean. I have a question basically for the Building Commission and the permitting process that's going on inside the city. I know in my own neighborhood there are a number of people who are having their houses redone, but without getting permits. You don't see the permits on the houses at all. In part now I understand why. I'm going through a renovation of a huge kitchen, 7 feet by 12 feet, and no plumbing is moving, no electricity is moving. That permit was put in on August 2nd, and it still has not been acted upon. I'm not sure if the permitting process, if they're understaffed inside of there, which then calls for the city, do we need to increase our staffing? I do know that they do collect their fees early on when you file for it. And again, I'm in the insurance business. I worry about interest rates. That's 3 months of interest to the city for no work being done. So I asked somebody to take a look and figure out what are the metrics that we're using for the permitting process, what sort of time frame are they working depending on the size of the project. And I recognize those coming in are going to have different priorities, different timelines for them. We should have a process in place that will allow us to track that and see how we're doing against those metrics.
Stand by, Dennis. I'll have someone come talk to you while you're here.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is our next speaker? Oh, no, she's not going to speak. It's okay.
She's not a speaker?
No.
Hi. I don't know, do I give that to you? Hi, my name is Mark Richards. I'm a civil engineer who has been retained by William Victor regarding his fire damage structure at 116 9th Street. He approached me to help him with his situation. I also saw the council meeting last week or last month, and I realized what's going on. And I spoke with Ryan Heiss, and I've submitted 2 structural letters to him regarding, the first one regarding what the extent of the fire damage was in terms of it only being limited pretty much to the Unit B, which is the second floor. And then also, the second letter I wrote was actually submitted today to Ryan Heiss after visiting the site on Sunday and determining what needed to be done to make it safe for public safety in terms of people walking by and also him entering to retrieve his items. So I've done all those things, and I guess I'm here to speak on his behalf in terms of he is trying to fix things. I realize it might be too late. I have a question for the fire marshal, if that's appropriate, in that if there's something that can be done. So I've done what I can to alleviate his building violations and his with building safety, but Ryan said that I need to speak to the fire department and the fire marshal, Mr. Bass. And my question would be, would anything, like for instance, realizing that a charred structure is more dangerous than a framed structure, is there anything that could be done in terms of removal of charred wood because I can write a letter to get that done. I've already recommended 2 contractors to him to start the demolition of the second floor balconies. Ryan Heiss has reviewed that letter and agreed that that's what needs to be done. And so I'm just basically, I'm kind of nervous. I don't do this every day.
Doing fine.
Yeah, I'm just basically, is there anything that can be done? For instance, removal of the entire 3rd floor, which is charred quite a bit. And would that make it similar to a construction site? Obviously, it might not. I'm not a fire expert. But in terms of removing anything that is worse than a normal construction site, because if he were to get this permitted, he would reconstruct it, and theoretically it would be currently, if he hadn't waited so long, it would be currently a wood-framed construction site. So what can be done to make it similar to that?
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, council's taking action. You can talk to Fire Marshal Bass outside the door here. You guys talk to each other. And Conduct Director, right behind you, lady in the tan jacket, you can talk to her outside there, and she'll answer your questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else here has got any public comments? Anyone? All right, please step up.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Laura Kiley, and I'm reading these words that a friend of mine wrote because I agree with them and she's not able to be here. When the issue of adding a camellia as a second city flower was brought to my attention, I thought to myself, do we really need a second city flower? I mean, after all, the beach primrose seems to be working for all of us and represents our current native species. But the interesting thing about the camellia, which makes it different from adding just any flower, is it represents our past. The camellia was the city flower of Manhattan Beach for 70 years, until it was discarded for the primrose like a wilted old bouquet. Our past matters. It's the history upon which this community was built. It's kind of too easy these days to just discard history for modernization. Our old beach cottages, our quirky little restaurants, or some hometown traditions, some of these are all going the way, well, of the camellia. Life moves forward and new generations bring modernization, but it's nice to be able to hold on to certain aspects of our past. Instead of discarding the camellia, we could designate it our historical flower in honor of the important role it played to past generations of Manhattan Beach residents. The important role of the camellia came from an important place in history. Manhattan Beach was once covered by acres of camellias, where Costa now stands. Courtesy of the Uematsu family, Francis Uematsu was forced to sell this land when he was sent to the Manzanar internment camp, where more than 10,000 Japanese people were detained during World War II. And recently, the legacy of the Uematsu family brought our community together to honor them during AAPI History Month, showing how important this story still is to our community today. And what better way to teach our children about our history than to connect it to their current lives, and even in subtle ways that remind them our past is the foundation for our present, and it should not be forgotten. So I hope you will consider it, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker? No one here? Zoom, please, Martha. No one wants to talk in Zoom. All right, we'll close public comment. And I did apologize that we didn't bring this up earlier, but I want to thank everybody here for the great car show. Police Department put on yesterday, great car show, by the way. And Parks and Rec for the Polywog Park, the new playground. I heard it's being swamped every day, not by water, by kids. And the Peck Reservoir itself, Public Works gets a shout out as well. So this council, as you know, I noticed in the last, 5, 6 years, or this year, just our motto is get things done. We don't care who gets credit for it as long as it gets built, done, finished. And we're not done yet, by the way. Public Works Director Lee's got one more trick up his sleeve. The new fire station is going to open up soon. No date noted yet, but soon. But our staff's been busy. So catching up from COVID, things we wanted to do in 20, we're catching up in 23. That's why things are opening every week, we're catching up and things to go. So thank you for that. First item up is item 2, emergency preparedness plan with Fire Chief Lang. We'll start us off, or in his absence, Amanda's going to take his place and walk us through it. And Police Chief Johnson.
Yes, Amanda McClellan will step us through this stand for the chief.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, colleagues, and community members. My name is Amanda McClellan, and I am the Emergency Preparedness Administrator and reporting to Chief Lang, who's not here this evening, in the Manhattan Beach Fire Department. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about the very important subject of emergency preparedness. As a quick definition, emergency preparedness is an effort to maintain a state of disaster readiness, and this is done through a constant cycle of planning, training, exercises, and education. So our mission for preparedness is to prepare the city of Manhattan Beach and the community to be ready to mitigate, respond, and recover to all of the natural hazards, man-made hazards, and threats that face our city. And this is going to be done through great partnerships and collaborations internally and externally. We have a lot of objectives in preparedness over the next months and years, starting with the local hazard mitigation plan. So we are currently working on updating the local hazard mitigation plan, which will include internal and external partnerships to make sure we're thinking of everything and we're thinking of everyone, and it's all included in our plan. So thinking of that cycle, the planning piece there. Our Emergency Operations Center. I am very proud to share we have an outstanding, dedicated Emergency Operations Center committee. We have representatives from every department in the city, and we also have designated personnel who will be activated into the EOC. And we saw the success of that designation when we activated for Tropical Storm Hillary. So a very strong response. We're learning from it. Think of that cycle. We're learning from it. We're going to make some adjustments and continue to improve in our preparedness. Our mass emergency notification system. The city of Manhattan Beach is part of a 14-city system, which is the Alert South Bay, and we work off of the Everbridge platform. We are starting and working and building a department warden program. So that's going to keep our city departments safe should we have an evacuation. Again, back to that cycle, these department wardens will be trained to evacuate, sweep their area, their department, make sure everybody gets out, as well as update the status of that evacuation. Our automated external defibrillator program, the AED program, we're auditing that. We're going to make sure if there's any adjustments needing to be made, we'll continue to monitor that as well. Our community partnerships and preparedness outreach. I can't say enough about the internal partnerships, and that goes to our very rich community partners as well. We have our businesses, our community, faith-based, nonprofits. I attend the Chevron safety meeting every month, our Manhattan Beach Unified School District. You all know better than I how strong our community partnerships are. And we're going to continue to grow and foster those so we're all ready together. Our Manhattan Beach Community Emergency Response Team, our CERT team, they are also wonderful partners. They do trainings, thinking of that cycle again of preparedness. They do training, CPR. They train new CERT members. They help out. They'll be at the Manhattan Beach Hometown Fair this weekend to support on the first aid. And they're also helping us with our great shakeout that's coming up as well. And we go after the grants, too. We recently submitted for a outreach campaign fund. Doesn't mean we're going to get it. We're in the system. We're accepted our initial proposal, and we'll continue to do that, all mitigation and preparedness opportunities. So coming up, the Great California Shakeout. So on Thursday, October 19th at 10:19 in the morning, I want everybody to drop, cover, and hold on. So do it with your friends, at home, at work, have a little fun with it, take some photos. It's really important to prepare so when that one hits, you'll be ready, you don't have to think about it. We're going to have an exercise, thinking again of that preparedness cycle, an exercise in the city that day, and we will be doing some evacuation as well, including with the trained wardens. Back to our alert warning system, the Alert South Bay. I am asking everyone who is here tonight, who is at home, to please register for Alert South Bay by going to www.alertsouthbay.com or to text Alert SB to 888-777. If we can't reach you, we can't alert you. So please do that. Tell your friends, your family, your colleagues as well. Should there be an earthquake, an evacuation, or even a traffic accident that closes the streets around you, these are things you need to know, and by signing up, you will get those alerts. And finally, tomorrow, there's actually going to be a national alert test. It is not us, we're not doing, it's the FEMA and FCC. So you're going to see it's going to start around 11:20 in the morning here on the West Coast with your cell phones, on the TV or on the radio that'll just say this is just a test. So no action is required from anyone, but it's just to make sure the system works. So if there is an incident, you can be reached. And that's everything. Thank you so much for the time.
Amanda, one question.
Yes.
Is any of that on our website now? We will post that tonight or tomorrow?
For the
Information you just gave. Is
on
that
Alert
on our
South
website
Bay?
now?
Alert South Bay?
888-777.
Yes, that is on our website. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council questions?
And
You want
Chief
pub-
Lang is on Zoom if there are any for him.
All right. Do you want to open a public comment for each section?
Can, if you'd like, yes.
Do anyone talk on this item before I move on to the next section? Anyone on Zoom, Martha? Please proceed next section.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you've all had the opportunity to meet Amanda, but Amanda is our first emergency preparedness administrator. Thank you to the council for allowing us to create that position. She's doing wonderful things for us. I feel better already, and October's a big month for emergency preparedness.
Well done.
So with that, I'll introduce Kevin Bass, who is our new fire marshal, the civilian fire marshal that was created this last go-around, and Kevin will fill you in on our prevention report.
Right.
Mayor Montgomery, Council, I have the honor for presenting Fire Prevention Week for 2023. A little background. Uh-oh.
So the government. There we go.
We're here to help.
All right. So a little background. The Great Chicago Fire, October 8th, 9th, 17,000 plus structures destroyed. We had deaths and over 100,000 homeless. And it was this fire, Great Fire, that started the whole talk about let's start educating people. But it took a while. So we had both Canada and the United States talking about it professionally. And it actually got up to a national level so that in observance of the Great Fire, we have the National Fire Prevention Day, which was proclaimed by President Wilson in 1920. And then in 25, President Coolidge made it a whole week. And the reason why is, let's face it, our homes being built at that time, a lot of it is wood frame, like it is today, and we have a fire problem. Fire prevention is a new concept in the 20s, and we're also, going through a big growth spurt. After World War I, even with the Great Depression, we still have that growth spurt. It is the longest running public health observance in America. It's been going for quite a while. So we just hit our 100-year, almost our 100-year mark for the week. And we're always looking at the next message for our kids and for our citizens. So here's Sparky. We always have to have Sparky come up. So this year's message is cooking safety. It's a sad piece of data, and I'll show on the next slide, but we're actually having more cooking-based fires in our database than we are back in the early 2000. And what we're looking at is an average of 470 cooking fires per day in 2018. That number hasn't really dropped, but we don't have the official statistics yet for 2020. As you can tell, our peak is generally on the holiday cookings, normally Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we do get a lot of fires in our kitchens during Easter, other family gathering events, and they just are things that get out of control simply because we're not paying attention. Now with cell phones, we're even further distracted. So the leading cause of cooking, of fires in the home is unattended cooking, primarily at the stove. So what we are promoting is simply this: stand by your pan. If you stay by your stovetop, guess what? Keep a lid handy. It's interesting. If you just turn it off and put a lid on, you take care of 90+% of these fires that start. But it's a hard thing to do when you see those flames. It's a panic. I'll be honest, I've seen my barbecue go up, and it took a second to figure out, get the extinguisher out, and call 911 and be really embarrassed. So, yes. So that's all we're asking for, is pay attention while you're cooking. Don't leave when you have something on the stovetop. The oven's a little different. The oven's contained. Check in every 10 minutes or so. You're in much better shape. But it's the stovetop cooking that we're really focused on. Just want to add a little bit. This week and last week, we've been going to our schools for the second grade presentations for their home safety courses. And we will be getting their homework in a week so that we can evaluate and see who are the winners, so they get the fire engine ride to school and celebrate their work and effort in. And we'll be posting those winners in the November 7th council meeting. And is there anything that I can answer?
Councilmember Lesser?
Just a quick question, Marshal Bass. With regard to the cooktop fires, which are scary for all of us, beyond just standing by one's pan, is there a particular type of extinguisher or a best practice that fire departments recommend most at home have in their kitchen so that if a fire occurs, they put it out? Because just putting water on certain types of fire can make things worse.
I didn't want to extend my presentation, but there's a really nifty YouTube video from OCFA where they had a fire in his turnouts with a 10-foot long stick tipping over water onto an open fire, grease fire, and it exploded.
Exactly.
So, no, we don't want you to have water as that. We don't want you to carry the burning pan outside, which is a very common thing as well. That leads to the injury as well as spreading the fire. Really, the most basic thing is, do you have baking soda?
Baking soda.
If you have a fire extinguisher, that's great, but baking soda knocks it down right there. That actually will be the easiest, simplest thing to have around, and you put it out and it makes things smell less smelly anyways. So baking soda is just a wonderful product. Another thing is that there's now new devices out there. There is a new device in which actually keeps an eye on you so that when you leave, it turns off the stove. Brand new. I just read about it myself a couple of days ago. New appliances don't allow you to turn it up as high, which means you're not having as many grease fires. But the problem is these appliances last forever. So, I mean, how many people are getting new stovetops? And the other aspect is, you know, fire extinguishers are great, but they're a very small amount of material in them. They can knock down the fire, but it's 911 to get you going. I always like sprinklers in the home. Sprinklers make a big difference, but that's a little pricey for most people to just throw it in. Baking soda is your friend.
Thank you.
Councilmember Howorth has a question.
I also have seen on Instagram these blankets, you know, that you keep nearby, like it's a special blanket, and it's, you know, and you just toss that over.
ShamWow.
It's like a ShamWow.
Yes.
ShamWow. But that seems really, like, for me, like, I would be too scared, I know, to like reach for the pan and try to do that.
Right.
And get the baking, but are those good, these blankets?
Yes, the blanket does work. It works on the same principle as the lid, and it is a retardant based fabric. So that is a new product that I've seen as well. Another product that I have seen are one-time discharge types of extinguishing agents. So if you have a hood, your magnetic can goes over and it has a temperature-sensitive device so that when it hits that temperature, it just dumps. It's a baking soda-based chemical that right down on your stovetop. So there's a lot of different devices out there, and we'll make somebody rich or such. But in reality, it's if you're paying attention, you don't have the problem. If you don't panic, you don't have the problem. Turning it off is the most effective thing that you can do in terms of reducing that fire. In terms of amount of energy that's done, if you have a pan of gasoline that you just instantly catch on fire, it doesn't have the same amount of energy and heat as oil that's been constantly heated up and then flashes over. It's removing that heat source that makes the big difference.
Well done, Marshal
Thank you.
Bass. Anyone else have questions? Stand by for a second. Anyone here have questions in the audience? How about on Zoom, Martha? And thank you, sir. Well done. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
With our public safety theme, we'll ask Chief Johnson to come down and give you an update on public safety and police department.
Awesome. Welcome, Chief.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the City Council, Rachel Johnson, back before you to give you a brief public safety update. And before I start my slideshow, what I wanted to talk about to the community, when we spoke in March, either at the Spring Town Hall or at the State of the City, we talked about a marked increase in Part 1 crimes in 2022 when in comparison to the 5-year average, and also when in comparison just to the prior year of 2021. And some of the data we're going to talk about this year, on this slideshow, we've had a significant improvement and a significant crime reduction. But for all of us, because this is a team effort, this is between the community and the police department to address crime, to drive down crime, and work in partnership to keep the community safe, there is no finish line. And so while these numbers look really, really good, and I'm very proud of the work our community has done, part of the work our police officers have done, and I cannot stress that enough. We need to look at this and pat ourselves on the back and remain focused on continuing to drive down crime in our community. Because just like fashion, crime is cyclical, and like high-waisted jeans are back in style, old crimes become new again, and we will see waves of crime as we, have our time together. And so I encourage everyone to take these numbers for what they are, which they're wonderful, but also remember that crime is cyclical, and this is an ongoing thing where there is no finish line. So on to the good news. So looking at all the numbers that I talk about today will be our data through August. That's data that I have complete to present to the council. So through August, we've had a Part 1 crime reduction, and that includes the 4 violent crime categories and the 5 property crime categories. We've had almost a 44% reduction year over year. We're comparing August year to date of this year, August year to date of last year, and the 5-year average. And that's significant. With regard to crimes against persons, or what we colloquially refer to as violent crime, we've seen significant decreases in the area of rape. It was down by 80%, robbery down by 8%, simple assaults down by 55%, and aggravated assaults down by about 30%. We experience a high number of property crimes in our town, and that's one of our biggest crime drivers, and we've had a significant reduction in burglary, which is down about 52%, larceny, which is down about 38%, and vehicle theft, which is down about 68%. Now, if you remember our talks from March when we discussed our auto theft problem, we talked about almost half of our auto thefts, the keys were with the vehicle at the time of the theft. And so they were in the cup holder, they were somewhere in the car, and so our thief didn't have to look anywhere for the car keys and was able to abscond with the vehicle. And what we saw with that was a doubling of our auto theft rates year over year in 2022 when compared to the 5-year average in our historical numbers. Well, what we've seen so far this year with auto theft, and why we've had such a great reduction, is we've gotten that number to almost half of the keys with the vehicle, to about a quarter of our stolens have the keys with the vehicle. So while 25% is still too much, is a significant reduction, but we've seen accordingly a reduction in the number of auto thefts to numbers that are more in keeping with our historic numbers and our 5-year average. So that's great work, but still progress to make. So our total Part 1 crimes this year, we have experienced great decreases, but as we move into the holiday season and as we're shopping and we're going out more, I just encourage everyone to continue to practice what they've been practicing, removing visible property, and locking your vehicles and taking those keys with you as you move about the community. Now, numbers don't tell everything, the story of what we do. There's no way to really quantify the impact of driving through a parking lot that may deter a theft, but numbers are certainly something. And I wanted to present some numbers to the council and the community about the work that your police department has done through August this year. We've made 584 arrests. 231 of those have been felonies, 301 have been misdemeanors, and if you're doing math and you're wondering what the rest of those arrests were, they were warrant arrests. All of our arrests are submitted at some point to the district attorney's office for review and filing consideration. Some of those are submitted right away, but some of those that require more evidence, for instance, when we arrest someone for driving under the influence, we typically don't submit those cases to the district attorney until the blood results are back, and then we submit the full package. So they're not always submitted commensurate with the arrest, but they are submitted for consideration by the district attorney. On the slides here, you see our top 5 primary arrest charges, with public intoxication taking the lead, driving under the influence in second, warrant arrest, shoplifting, and grand theft. What didn't make our list, because who has a top 7 list, were some really important arrest categories. Vehicle theft, we made 23 arrests this year for persons in stolen autos, and we also made 22 arrests for burglaries this year. So while those didn't make the top 5, they were 6 and 7, and very, very important arrests, because those are really the arrests that impact crime in our community. I know that our community has significant interest in the PASHA, both a case in 2022 and the case in 2023. So I'll take a moment to talk about those just very briefly. For the second PASHA case that happened in March of this year, where we made a significant number of arrests, the next trial date for a preliminary hearing is set for October 4th, for tomorrow, and our detectives will be testifying at the behest of the district attorney for that case. So the second PASHA case is progressing, and 3 of the 5 defendants are still in custody. The first PASHA case has been submitted to the district attorney for review and filing, and we are in contact with them to make sure they have all of the information they need to make a very considered filing decision. So also, when talking about the numbers, let's talk about this. Let's talk about calls for service and self-initiated activity. So through this year, we've had a total of 24,482 calls for service, and that's a lot considering we're a very small, very safe beach town. But if you look at those calls for service, it tells a story. 10,719 of those calls are dispatch calls, which means a member of the community called the police department, and a radio call came out, and an officer was summoned to a location. But the higher number, the larger number, is self-initiated activity, 13,763 calls for service involving self-initiated activity. And that's where members of your police department are out doing security checks, on foot beats, making traffic stops, and other proactive activity to address community concerns. And what this tells me as your police chief is when the officers are not on calls, they're not all at Dunkin'. The donuts are delicious, but they're not always there, okay? They are out making proactive stops using their available time appropriately to address community concerns. And so this is a number I'm very proud of. It's a great day when our self-initiated activity outpaces our dispatch calls for service. In a related vein, we look at our total citation numbers. We've written about 40,000 citations this year. Now, the lion's share of those are parking citations, as you might imagine, but we've written 2,300 traffic citations, as well as 166 citations for violations of the municipal code. So we're out there working, very busy. And in looking at self-initiated activity, just a little more of a granular level in terms of just traffic stops, just those stops that our officers are making, either to address a community concern regarding a traffic problem, an intersection, school drop-off, things like that, or to contact suspicious persons with reasonable suspicion always. 6,067 of those this year, car stops, proactive activity your police officers are making to address community concerns and continue to keep our community safe. And also looking at our foot beats where our officers are out on foot, as well as security checks, we've made 3,636 of those this year. And while that's the number that our officers have logged. That doesn't count when an officer gets out on foot and neglects to log it because the air is busy or something like that, or when an officer drives through our mall or downtown and they don't log every single time they do that. So this is, I would think a fraction of the number of actual foot beats and security checks that we've made, but it does tell a story. It does tell how our officers are out there trying to be proactive and be a visible deterrent to crime in the community. I wanted to take a minute while we're talking about numbers and data to talk about how we report crime. For decades, we have reported crime at the behest of the Department of Justice using the Uniform Crime Reporting System. And we colloquially refer to that as UCR because no one wants to say Uniform Crime Reporting System every time. But the DOJ came up with UCR as a means for every police department to report their crimes in the same way. Because as you can imagine, across this great nation of ours, many states have different definitions of the different kinds of crimes, which mean the same thing. Does somebody come in your house and steal stuff? Well, that's a burglary, right? But they call it something different, and there are different degrees, and there's all these different types of crime across the country that are essentially the same act. And so UCR is a way for us to compare apples to apples. We can compare ourselves to any city and say, well, what they are reporting as a burglary is what we think of a burglary based on the rules of the Uniform Crime Reporting. And we've used that for forever. We are transitioning to the National Incident-Based Reporting System. This is also a Department of Justice mandate. And so we're going to go from 9 Part 1 crime categories, those 4 violent and 5 property crimes we were discussing, to 23 crime categories, right, that the DOJ has deemed important. And the difference, one of the major differences you'll see in addition to a lot more crime categories is how these things are reported. With UCR, if you had a crime and in that one incident, several different crimes were committed, only the highest classification was reported. So if you had all kinds of things happen, but the highest crime that happened, a most serious crime that happened, that was recorded as a robbery, let's just say, because that was the highest, most serious crime committed of the litany of crimes that were committed in that one incident. With NIBRS and the expansion of the number of Group A crimes, also, NIBRS takes every crime that was committed in that incident and counts it as a different separate crime. And so what you will see is an attendant increase in how our numbers. And I have it on this slide here for you just to look at. Looking at the same incidents, the same reported crimes, the same cases reported in UCR for crimes against persons in August. There are 15 reported crimes based on the UCR reporting data. That same information for NIBRS, 16 reported crimes. And I know what you're saying, well, Rachel, that's not much. But if you look at our property crimes, which is where we really see a number of crimes that get committed in one incident, we go from 82 reported crimes using the UCR statistics to 122 crimes. And so that's a significant jump, and that's very eye-popping, and it would appear that crime was increased if you're trying to compare the two data sets to each other. But the fact is, based on the rules and how this data is collected, you just cannot. And so what we've done this year is our crime analyst has worked really hard, and she's been collecting 2 sets of data all year long. So not only could we compare our numbers in 2023 to 2022, but that we would have a year of NIBRS data to compare itself to once we stop collecting in both data sets. Because as of January 2023, we have to report in the NIBRS reporting standard. So it's going to appear different. You're going to see more crime categories. You're going to see bigger numbers, but it's a different way of collecting the same information. I just wanted to socialize the council and the community to that. Finally, before I leave you, I want to talk a little bit about the pre-arraignment release protocols, which are known colloquially as zero bail, that took effect this past Sunday, October 1st. And this was a mandate by the Los Angeles County Superior Court to address the issue of cash bail with what are deemed nonviolent and non-serious crimes. And put simply, with misdemeanor crimes, there's really no impact. Because for misdemeanor crimes, we typically arrest someone, we wait till they're identified by fingerprints, and then we release them with a court date. So you won't see a change. Where you'll see a change are on our felony crimes, where we would typically arrest someone for a felony, and they would either post bail, the assigned bail, whatever that was, or post bond, and they could be out until their arraignment, or they were held until their court date. And so for some people, that would, if they got arrested on a Monday, they might go to court on a Wednesday. If you were unlucky and got arrested on a Thursday before a holiday, you might not go to work and not go to court until Tuesday. But that's been removed with the pre-arraignment release protocol. So for a lot of crimes that are deemed by the court and by statute as non-serious, non-violent, the financial constraints of bail have been removed. So we have 3 choices essentially when arresting people for these crimes. And 2 good examples of these crimes would be something like burglary or auto theft, where typically before October 1st we would hold them for money bail or bond, or hold them till arraignment, where the judge can set whatever conditions they wish on this person prior to their release. Our choices now are to cite and release them in the field, which is as it sounds. We write them a ticket, give them a court date, bring them to our facility and book them and release them. And with certain crimes, they're automatically sent to a judge for review. And those crimes include abuse of the elderly, abuse of children, and crimes involving firearms. They're automatically sent to a judge to review, and the judge has the opportunity to, again, put non-financial constraints on that person prior to their release. And these non-financial constraints are fairly benign in terms of drive with a driver's license, commit no laws, and things like that. But those are the constraints placed upon us with the new pre-arraignment release protocols. Now, for serious and violent crimes, domestic violence, carjacking, things like that, those still have money bail, and the rules are unchanged for those crimes. But for the crimes deemed by the court as non-serious and non-violent, the constraints of money bail have been removed. This has been been in flux the entire time since the courts announced it until I stand before you today. The courts have been making incremental changes to these processes, and so I would suspect it's going to be quite a bit of time before we actually, one, see the impact of the pre-arraignment release protocols, but also get to a final point with what zero bail looks like in Los Angeles County. But we are tracking the police department, the arrests that we're making, and just looking at arrests that would have previously had money bail versus those arrests that are now subject to the pre-arraignment release protocols. So I'll leave you with some good news. Okay? And some asks of the community. If you see something, please say something. If it's an emergency, call 911. If it's not an emergency, call the number you see before you. And just to tell you how important it is and how it works, just last Monday, I was driving into work, so it's pretty early in the morning, and I hear a call come out over the air of a citizen that she thinks that her neighbor's home is being burglarized. And she provides a description of the person she thinks is burglarizing the house and where she saw them last. Our day shift officers on the case catch up with that guy, and through our investigation, we realized she was right. He was in fact burglarizing her neighbor's house. But it was her quick thinking and not questioning what she was seeing and just calling us and giving us the best opportunity to catch that person that allowed us to catch a burglar in our community and get him in jail where he can no longer victimize our community. So please call us if you see something suspicious. I talk to community members all the time, and they're like, well, I don't want to bother you. Well, we are in the bother business. We are in service to the community, and we are here to investigate your suspicions and either confirm them or dispel them. So please call us. Please also lock up your property. Make sure that you remove your keys when you're not in your car, and take anything of value out of your car and secure it anytime you're not with it. Help us to keep you and your property together. One of our detectives, we had a spate of vehicle burglaries in the Oporto area of town, and he knew that every time there was a vehicle burglary in that area, the thieves would go to one of our shopping centers and try to make purchases. So when he heard that call go out in the air of the officer taking a report, he asked for the victim's name and shot up to one of our retailers in the mall. And lo and behold, do you know what happened? The thief came in and tried to make purchases there, and there was our detective. And that is the hard work and the tenacity of our detectives, but also what happens when we're able to work together. Because the detective went and talked to loss prevention at that retailer and said, when this guy comes in, let me know. And they did, because they had trust in him, and we were able to make an arrest of a prolific vehicle burglar. But that's through partnerships in the community, and that's through understanding what people typically do and trying to use data to solve crimes and make arrests in our community. I'll close with, please come see us. There's Coffee with a Cop tomorrow. I am a fan myself of the original glazed. I'm a purist. But you do what makes you happy. We will also be at the Hometown Fair this weekend. Please come buy a Pink Patch t-shirt or a pink patch. We have Trunk or Treat coming up on Thursday, October 26th. Tip a Cop at Tin Roof is Thursday, November 9th. And finally, our Fall Town Hall is Thursday, November 16th. So please join us for all or any of these events. We would love to see you. I'll close with Mayor Montgomery and the council. I, as your chief, and your police and all of your police department members, appreciate the support of this council it is that support for LPRs and our other security measures, our live view trailer, that has helped us to make inroads in catching people who would victimize members of our community. So I remain ever grateful to your ongoing support in our fight against crime. And that concludes my presentation.
Well done, Chief. Council, any questions? Chief Johnson?
Just a quick.
Representative Franklin? Oh, sorry, that's Howorth.
I just had two quick comments. First of all, great presentation. Really great to see those numbers. Obviously, even if we have one crime, it's, feels really bad if you're the person. And so, but I really appreciate the tenacity and appreciate especially seeing the arrest the self-generated numbers. I think that's really helpful for me. And then I had a comment. The non-emergency number, I've never been able to remember it, so I finally started putting it in my iPhone, in my favorites at the top. And I told my neighbor this tip, and he thought it was genius, so of course, I have to share it. But I think it's really helpful because, if you, for instance, you see someone, an unhoused person, and they're on the beach sleeping and, something, you call that number. And if it's in your, your favorites, your contacts, you don't have to think, oh, what's that number, and go to the website. So put the police non-emergency number, which is 310-545-4566, in your favorites, on your phone, above your spouse, above your kids, and it's right there. You can thank me later.
All right, no question there. Representative Franklin?
Thank you. So, Chief, thank you for the presentation and update. I've been trying to think how to ask this question. So, assume that this no bail, no cash bail, new protocol was in place at the beginning of the year. And we had all those arrests, felony, nonviolent, that would have been impacted by that. Can you get an idea of, just give us an idea of, and I don't want to put you on the spot and you can get back to us on this, but how would it have affected all those great arrests that you've done this year from, through August? Would it have how many felons would it have put back on the street?
Well, I thank you for the question, Mayor Pro Tem, and I really can't answer that with any specific data, but I will tell you that our mission with pre-arraignment protocol, zero bail, anything like that, our mission remains unchanged. We arrest people and we take them to jail. And we submit good cases to the district attorney for review and filing. And I certainly appreciate your question in terms of how many people we would be releasing because of this. But, what I look at and what I encourage our team to look at is that our mission is unchanged. And we will, no matter what the winds of the other parts of the criminal justice system bring us, we remain steadfast in doing what we do. But accordingly, I will bring that data back to the council so that you have it, for sure.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Because we already had no bail based upon the district attorney's, LA County District Attorney's directives, right? There was no cash.
No, we've had, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir.
So there was no cash bail for misdemeanors, correct?
Well, I know, so a couple of different things. So first, we've had zero bail since about April for certain crimes in the community for quite some time. That was also by virtue of the Los Angeles County Superior Court in dealing with a lawsuit between the sheriff and the LAPD chief. We've had zero bail for certain crimes for most of the year now, from April to now. But with regard to the other part of the question with misdemeanor crimes, for many, many years for misdemeanors, people are typically, if they're arrested for public intoxication, they're held until they are sober and able to care for themselves, which is typically 6 to 8 hours. But for other misdemeanor crimes, regardless of any prosecutorial directive, we typically hold them until they're identified by fingerprints. And if there aren't any holds on them, probation, parole, warrants, or anything else, we have released them. That is statutorily what we're required to do for misdemeanors. So that has remained unchanged. It's where with the district attorney's directive, that is more for cases that are filed. It doesn't affect our ability to make arrests. It affects whether or not the arrests that we make are filed and the person is
held and goes to trial on them. So So we always talk about deterrence to crime. And so now you've got someone who stole a car. Okay, it wasn't violent, wasn't done by armed force or, with a gun. That person gets processed and then gets released. Is there any deterrent whatsoever? I mean, we know it builds a record. How would that person look at, I'm going to go back and I'm going to steal again because there's going to be no deterrent for me to do that. Is that correct? Or I'm just trying to understand how this might impact repeat offenders.
Well, certainly, for persons who continue to commit crimes, there is magistrate review, and there is a point where where zero bail would not apply. So so there is not just carrot or anything like that, but just bail is just to guarantee someone's appearance at court, right? So that's the part that we're now missing, is that we used to hold someone either till their arraignment, and at the arraignment, the judge could say, based on your criminal history, I'm going to release you with a court date. And still, for something that had a bail amount attached to it, a judge could still choose to release someone without bail at their arraignment. What we are removing right now under these current protocols is they're released at the time of arrest after booking without bail. So certainly there will be some changes, but that just doesn't, the DAs are still going to file these charges. There's still going to be prosecution and things like that. The piece that we're missing is the part where someone is held for arraignment, or if they don't want to be held for arraignment, they would post money bail. So that's the piece that has changed with this new order of the courts.
So they'll just have a court date that
Yes.
they have to return?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Certainly.
Councilmember Lesser?
Chief, thank you for your very informative report. For members of the community that are interested in this matter, there is now an upcoming community meeting on crime, is there not? Can you briefly discuss it, give the date, and maybe talk a little bit about the agenda for it?
Certainly. So our Fall Town Hall is scheduled for Thursday, November 16th, and it will be at the Jocelyn Center in the evening. I don't have the hours before me, but it'll be in the evening hours like our previous one was. And we will discuss, in depth, things that are going on at the police department. So we'll talk about crime, talk about arrests. We'll talk about some of our other things like coyotes and things like that, some of our other parts of the police department that are also impactful to members of our community. And we can take a deeper dive into some of these issues in terms of case filing and the pre-arraignment release protocols.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Anyone in the public? Any questions for our chief? How about on Zoom, Martha? All right, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to move to the consent calendar. Items 5 through 10. We're going to pull one off now as a time. Let me know. I see a first by Councilmember Howorth, a second by Councilmember Lesser.
I move approval of the consent calendar, which is items 5 through 10.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, folks, no items removed, consent calendar, public hearing items. None, we're going to go right to general business, item number 11. Consideration of resolution appropriating funds and awarding the construction agreement to Asplundh Construction. I'll stop right there. The Public Works Director, Lee.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Eric Lee, your Public Works Director. Tonight, our presentation will be given by Senior Civil Engineer Jeff Fialka.
All right.
Thank you, Director Lee. Good evening again, Mayor and members of the Council. My name is Jeff Fialka, Senior Civil Engineer in Public Works, and here to discuss awarding a contract to Asplundh Construction for additional work in the District 12 and District 14 undergrounding districts. So the two districts that we're talking about tonight are Districts 12 and 14, which are both in El Porto. Together, they comprise about 475 parcels, and they were approved by a resolution of City Council in October of 2019. So construction on these two districts began in October of 2020, and as you can see on the slide here, the construction process is divided into 4 phases for these undergrounding projects. The first phase, which is the public right-of-way construction, involves a contractor, which is typically hired by the utility companies, installing trench and conduit in the right-of-way, bringing the mainline conduits up to the front of each property. That work in Districts 12 and 14 was completed in the fall of 2021, at which point we started the Phase 2 private conversion phase. So Phase 2 is when property owners are instructed to hire their own private contractor to prepare their property to receive underground utility services. That generally entails trenching and installation of conduits on private property from the front property line up to the point of service. And we instructed the property owners to do this in these districts right as we were finishing up Phase 1 in the fall of 2021. And they were given a deadline of September of 2022 to hire a contractor and complete that work. That official deadline did pass in September of last year, so a little over a year ago. And we don't have everything completed in Phase 2 in Districts 12 and 14, but we've moved partially into Phase 3, which is cabling and equipment installations. This is where the utility companies come in, set their equipment, pull the conductors through the conduits that were set during Phase 1, and start to energize the underground systems. That's currently underway in Districts 12 and 14. Now, after all Phases 1, 2, and 3 are completed, we'll move into Phase 4, which is the overhead line and pole removal as the last phase. But again, that has not started yet and will not start until Phases 2 and 3 are complete in both these districts. So going back to Phase 2 with those incomplete private conversions, within these districts, as I mentioned, there's 475 parcels approximately, and approximately 300 of those required the property to convert to prepare the property to receive underground utility services. So about 300 of the 475 property owners needed to hire a contractor. At this point, 4 property owners have not hired a contractor. Together, these 4 property owners represent 5 properties because one of the owners owns 2 of the properties that are the subject of this discussion. Of those 4 property owners, 2 of them have asked that the city complete the work on their behalf and they will repay the city. The other 2 have indicated that they would be amenable to a situation where they will allow access for the city to complete the work on their behalf, provided that the city support them as far as making some type of arrangements to repay the debt over time. So Public Works is currently in discussions with Finance and our legal counsel to see if we can work out a plan where the payment can be made over time. What the code stipulates currently is that the city will do the work on behalf of the owner and then bill the owner if the bill is not paid. An assessment is levied against the property. So where we're at today is we are wanting to award a contract to complete that incomplete private conversion work, as well as some additional minor work within the districts that will be paid for by the city and the district funds themselves. So back in March of this year, Public Works sent out to bid for this incomplete work, being the incomplete private conversions, and again, some minor items that are the responsibility of the district and the city. We received 2 bids in April of this year for that work. The bid package and the bids include, again, work within the right-of-way funded by the city, but also additive bid items. So on each bid, the properties that were not complete at that time or had not hired a contractor, which at that time was 19 properties, they were each listed individually in the bid solicitation for the contractors to provide a price per property of what it would take to prepare each of those 19 properties to receive underground utilities. Since that time, 14 of those property owners have hired a contractor, which leaves us with the 5 properties that have not been completed. So that brings us to where we're at right now, where staff is asking council to adopt Resolution 23-0414 to award a construction agreement to Asplundh Construction, also appropriating $81,875 from the general fund to fund those private conversions, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement as well as approve additional work, and the resolution would also be approving the specifications for the project. That concludes this brief presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jeff. Just one question for me to start with. Are the property owners claiming hardship?
Yes.
Okay. I'll stop there. Thank you. Next question, Councilmember Lesser.
Jeff, very good presentation. Thank you. There was one reference that you made in your presentation about the potential code restrictions on the city coming up with some sort of long-term payment plan, and in the staff report, there's a reference that it might require code amendments and that staff would be coming back. When is it anticipated that staff might be coming back? Because this is an issue that others in other undergrounding districts would also be concerned about.
Yes, so for this specific item, we're anticipating coming back within the next month or two.
Okay.
We're still trying to work out the exact details of that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, yes, that's a good timeline. So right now, the lien would be placed on the tax roll and then payable within, the next tax year. What we're exploring right now is to put that over time and space out the payments, and that's a real simple fix to the code. So we'll be back within the month.
But, Mr. City Attorney, that would be subject to code amendments that would need to come before council.
Yeah, the city council would have to approve that.
Great, thank you. And the second question has to do with light stands, particularly where poles are removed that previously had street lights. And I just wanted to confirm, when new independent street lamps are put in place of removed poles, is that part of the overall project cost, or is that a separate item if poles are to be placed with lights after the utility poles have been taken down?
So generally, historically, what the city has done on all of our Rule 20B assessment districts is plan for the installation of a new dedicated streetlight on a Marblite pole at the location of the former wood pole-mounted streetlights. So that is the way we go about doing the streetlight replacements in all these undergrounding districts. There are times when, for whatever reason, it cannot be installed at the original location. Maybe it was on private property and we don't have an easement. But generally speaking, they are planned for and in the Edison design to be at the location of the existing streetlights, and the funding for that is included in the costs that are estimated for what each property owner is assessed.
Part of the assessment.
It is part of the assessment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else? Stand by, Jeff. Well done. Anyone have questions on this item here in council? Chambers? If not, then Zoom. Martha? Okay, closed public comment, council.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to make a motion. Now, we can make the motion and still have discussion, or Councilmember Lesser, if you, okay.
No, I was good.
I'll make a motion to approve, sorry, I went back, to approve a resolution appropriating funds and awarding a construction agreement to Asplundh Construction in the amount of $131,625 for work within the right-of-way in Underground Assessment District 19-12, District 12, and private utility conversion work in Underground Utility Assessment District 14.
Res number?
23-0130. So adopt the resolution and appropriate funds. I made the motion.
A first by Councilmember Howorth, a second by Member Tim Franklin. No other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Actually, could I stop you for 1 second? It appears that the resolution number in item A is not matching.
Oh, you're right.
So it should be 20-0414.
Yes, is that?
For the record, 20-0414 is correct?
It was right in the staff report.
Okay, sorry.
Which one is the correct number?
That is the correct resolution number. That's the item number. Is
So
item number, file number
23-0130 is correct.
Okay.
So you're right.
Yeah, and Mayor, before there's a vote, we need to correct 2 typos. And it's the same, it's in the title of the resolution and also in the body of the resolution. When you're approving the specifications, you're also approving the plans and specifications.
As noted?
Yes, noted, yes.
By both Councilor Howorth and President Flake. You're good with that, Joe?
Yep.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Jeff. Well done.
Thank you.
Good thing our finance director's here hanging out. He can hear the whole conversation. Next up, item 12, an update on Parks and Recreation Department projects. From Parks Director Lehman, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present these project updates. I did want to take a moment to thank a number of people that have helped to move all these projects forward, beginning with the commissions, Parks and Recreation Commission, Cultural Arts Commission, and Library Commissioners. Also our amazing Parks and Recreation leadership team here, as well as numerous departments that move these projects forward. Community Development, Finance, Public Works, legal team for permitting, construction, budget, et cetera. So with that, so these are the project lists, and I will run through each of them individually. I'll try not to be too verbose, and I'll try to move us along as quickly as possible, and then be available for any questions after each item. And I am seeking direction on a few of the items, and I'll state that as I discuss each item. But first, I just wanted to talk about a few of the completed items. Again, this is a team to move all these projects forward. I'm not going to go through each one individually, but as referenced by the mayor earlier, Pollywog Park Playground, it's been remarkable. Any day, any time that you visit the park, it is inundated with families and children, smiling, laughing, and it's been just really a joy. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Again, Strand Park Course project, again, with all the public works. Heavy lifting to get that installed, the partnership with MB10K, and again, it's heavily utilized. And then, of course, pickleball, extremely popular pickleball at MBMS, and in particular, the sound barrier that was installed on the fencing has been extremely successful. We just had a neighborhood meeting. We're doing the pilot program, opening it up during the week as well. So it's been, again, a great partnership with the neighborhood, with the school district, and having that project move forward. And then again, not running through each of them, but a number of park projects, a number of enhancements, and a number of public art projects as well. So moving forward, beginning with some public art projects, again, utility boxes. So City Council approved the work to be done. There are 18 boxes, and that work will begin this month. There are also 2 additional boxes. The Downtown Business and Professionals Association asked for us to wrap 2 additional boxes. And so we will be bringing those from the alternate artist list, and we will be bringing that for allocation of funds to a November meeting to be approved. Next up, Sculpture Garden. So again, City Council directed the Cultural Arts Commission to move forward with 15 sculpture options to either purchase or commission for permanent installation. And the Cultural Arts Commission will begin that discussion at their October meeting to move this forward. And we anticipate bringing the recommendations back to City Council in December. So again, moving on to murals, City Council approved the 5 murals and directed the commission to return with alternatives to 2 locations, one at the Manhattan Beach Arts Center and also the fire station. So they'll be working on that to bring back to council. And again, the projects are moving forward this month for the mural installations. So proactive art projects. So this is a Cultural Arts Commission work plan item that City Council directed. And so the commission just discussed a number of items at their September meeting. And so each of these items, if I could give a quick overview, and I would love to hear direction from City Council to either keep these on the list to develop ideas, details, cost estimates, and return with a timeline, or simply scratch them off the list. So if I could start with the public art tour. So the commission would like to lead tours throughout the city, looking at public art, utilizing the dial-a-ride buses.
Are we looking for feedback?
Yes, please. If there's consensus.
I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
Let's wait till the next round of murals at least.
Sounds good. Thank you.
My opinion.
I mean, I wasn't prepared. I didn't know. Okay. So you want direction. You want to
If
see
we could
there's-
either to keep them on the existing work plan items, or if this is something you wouldn't like them to discuss further and bring back any recommendations.
Next one sounds like a nightmare.
Okay. Absent the mayor, without pressing my button. Yeah, get the gavel out. This is your
Pro
you, Joe.
Tem is ready.
I would hold on the public art tour. I like the idea of it, but I don't think we're ready for it.
Great.
And before you go down the list, I just would say, I think it'd be helpful to know a little bit more about what these proposals are. And in this context, we don't have any information about it. So it's just a title. And moreover, there's a lot of other work. I want to make sure we're not taking on something more that is going to exceed the capacity of city staff. So with that in mind, I just wonder if my colleagues might direct staff to come back at another time with a little bit more information about what these are.
Sure, and, you know, as the director mentioned, so the commission has work plan items, but those are now part of the council work plan. We're coming back to you in November with an update. Perhaps we should come back with these items, anything we need direction on.
I'd be in favor of that.
These are, I'm ready to go now, because while it's just a list here, there's more information in the staff report.
There's-
I saw
This is
it.
it. I
Yeah.
appreciate that you want it for public, but this is part of the public record as well. And there's more than enough here I think we can act on to say whether we like something or not, whether we want to pursue that or
Like
not.
a quick, sort of a quick thumbs up, down.
Yeah.
Not a huge,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
like, large
So why don't
percussion
we-
instruments and publicly accessible, what could go wrong there?
Could I suggest something? Should we,
Take them one by one.
okay, take it one by one. I like percussion instruments in a park.
Unless you're living next to it.
Well, I'm not, I could have, but I didn't, so. So, did you hear what we're doing?
Yes.
Without you here, we just like, it's what we're doing.
We put
Richard
Mayor Pro
won't care.
Tem in place, in your place while you were out.
His rules of order still apply.
Got it.
It's all right.
Okay, Richard's Rules of Order, I like that. All right. Public art tour.
Okay.
So,
I'm a no.
I'm a
Take
no
a
for now.
majority vote.
No.
You have 3. Next item.
Instruments in the park?
No.
No.
yes.
I need more information.
Okay. Question mark on that one. Next one.
Art nights?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Huh?
Okay.
That's 2 yeses. Any other yeses?
David,
Sure.
There you go. All right.
Small downtown performance space?
I guess my question is, what are we talking about? Because we've made spaces already. The Civic Center is a space.
Yeah.
The edge of Metlocks is a space. I don't think we need to create a new space. We need to program the spaces we already have.
Is it programming the space?
Agreed, and I believe the commission discussion was in Civic Center or behind the library were some of the brainstorming ideas that they came up with this
So it's
concept.
programming it, maybe. Okay.
That's fine.
I'm in favor of programming
Yep.
what we now have as space. In consultation with the library in terms of getting those dates approved or whatever protocol you follow.
Great.
I like the Chalk Art Festival.
Chalk Art Festival. Steve, Joe,
Sure.
David.
Sure.
Okay, you have 3.
Surfboards on parade.
Yes.
Stereotypes on parade. I mean, we've got a million of these things over. Do we need more surfboards? We're gonna have a new one at North End, right? We've
Or are
got
they
surfboards
permanent?
and the logos there.
I see.
Got the Catalina Classic.
True. I see what they're trying to do, you know, the Cows on Parade and the LA Angel Project. Let's maybe have them rethink that out more.
So
Because
question mark, that's for that one.
I'm a no.
No.
I'm a maybe.
I'm a maybe with more information and how this impacts staffing, given that we have other higher
Is it
priority
permanent?
items.
Is it permanent? Is it a whatever? I love the art vending machine. I love those. I think they're
Well,
so
did,
cool.
did the mayor take a position on surfboards
I'll
on
take
parade?
surfboards for 2, Alex. No, I think that's good. I'll put a question mark next to that one.
Okay.
Free question. Good. I love the vintage art or the art vending machine. I don't know if you guys heard me say that.
Sounds like a cost to me. We gotta buy the vending machine, gotta
Maybe.
protect it from vandalism.
They're very fun. I've interacted with them in other places like
Where?
Marfa. There's one in Rimini recently. There was one in Indianapolis. They're just like, they're so fun.
Your question mark on that one?
I just would also be a question mark. I'd like more information. I'd like to address some of the initial concerns by Councilmember Napolitano about theft. And my ongoing question is, how does this affect staffing and the higher priorities that already have been approved?
And I'm fine with those comments.
They're not gonna tell you. It's our decision to make that, you know, whether it's gonna be too much time looking at all the other things. They're gonna say they can do it.
I'm a question mark.
As long as it's pink.
I'd vote no for that reason.
That's fair. That's totally
How about
fair.
blue?
Yeah.
You want to bring it back with a question, Joe?
I just see it as, I haven't gotten emails, anything about art vending machines.
It's an interesting concept. It's something I just heard of. It's repurposing old cigarette machines and having smaller
Yeah.
art pieces that are accessible. Could be indoors.
Sometimes, and it's not like you buy it, anyway, but maybe come back with pictures and stuff.
I'm curious about
More
cost
details.
and placement well too, so put a question mark on that one.
Inventory, storing it.
Well, there's not inventory, it's art. You don't buy it, you like look at it and, right, I mean, it's like,
I believe there's nominal fees in some of the models. It
says
it depends.
$5.
Yeah.
Let's
It
see what
says
it
sell
comes back,
miniature artworks.
comes back with. Young at art and art therapy for older adults.
Love.
Okay.
Yes.
Joe, you good?
Yes.
Okay, that's a yes.
I would just add, so long as it doesn't underestimate the capabilities of many of our older adults who are actually quite sophisticated and competent artists in their own right. So this sort of follows a stereotype, which I worry about, but otherwise I'm a yes.
That's a thoughtful comment.
You seem surprised.
Maybe she should be.
That's a compliment, right?
I'm sure she meant it in the most gentle way.
I
LA
was
versus
very
Hate
gentle.
Community mural, and explain that to me, Mark. Politano's comment last time, all of us are against hate here, so tell me why I have an LA versus Hate Community mural here.
So this was just a comment. Again, I know this was a submission for the mural RFP, and I know it wasn't selected, but it's something similar to the Leadership Manhattan Beach mural. It's basically a community art mural.
But are we LA or MB? Why is it LA?
Are we
Yeah.
talking about compare what LA did, or just an example?
That's the organization that
Thank you.
they're called LA versus Hate.
Got it.
Oh,
And they partner.
Meant to be peace-loving and
got it.
embodying the anti.
Got it. So Los Amigos versus Hate Community mural, that's the group name. All right, so, go ahead. What do you guys want to do?
I just don't like the word hate. I mean, I know
You hate
it's
hate.
out there, I know it exists. It's such a strong word. I know it's such a strong feeling too, but I don't know how putting up a mural is going to stop somebody from hating. So, I'm a no.
Steve?
I'd rather see us focus on the murals that we've got, and if, that translates into a message of, which I hope some of our murals are uplifting, that we choose, and they promote unity and all that. But to have a specific one, I don't think that we need that.
Amy?
Well, I'll say yes, but I like the idea, remember when we were talking about at the mural at the Art Center, we were talking about the community coming together and painting hearts. You liked that idea, and then I think we didn't go with that idea because maybe it's been done or something like that. I'd like to explore this without it being, to think about it as something the community could do together that would be somehow, inclusive and just community building. Maybe we don't call it LA versus Hate. Maybe it's called We Are Manhattan Beach or something. But I don't know. That's always fun. So I would be in favor of that.
Councilmember Lesser?
More information. What's the scope? What does it entail?
I'm open to the idea, but I'm more in favor of positive messaging, remove the word hate, anything we do. I don't want to put the message out there that we're focused on the word hate. I agree with Joe on this one. The more things you put out there, the more our attention to it. So I'm trying to go a different way.
Mr. Mayor, I think we skipped one, which I want to go back to, and that is art therapy at Jocelyn. And I just wanted to say I would be in favor of
Which
that.
one?
Art therapy?
Art
Yeah.
therapy.
I thought we did
Jocelyn.
young at art and
Yeah.
art therapy for older
I wasn't
adults.
sure if there were the two.
Yeah, I thought we
merged.
did it.
We sort of merged them.
We merged the two, and I'm certainly in favor of that one. Thank you.
Is there anything else that we have on this list that's,
The last is the Alley Arts murals. And I know this was a brainstorm session, but my understanding is it would be plywood panels in particular locations, and it would be temporary.
Yeah. Here's what I would say. You've got a lot of cool ideas to develop here. And I kind of like that idea because I see what you're trying to do, like create stuff without having to go through an RFP process. But those plywood panels could also look kind of beat kind of fast. So I would kind of, in my own personal thing, work on some of these others first.
you're saying to shelve that for later on until they get
Later on,
things knocked
I
off.
don't hate it, and I know that's a strong word, but I
Strong
don't
word.
hate it, but I just want to
Dislike it.
Okay.
strongly
So
dislike.
Pause on that one then until we get caught up with everything else. You
Well,
have
that's
a-
only me. Maybe other people think it's fabulous.
Anyone else will move forward with that one, or are you good letting it sit for now? Sit? Sit?
No, I can sit. Yep.
We'll sit.
Thank
Pause
you.
on that one.
Look
Thank
at
you.
us.
That was helpful. That was all the proactive arts projects. So now on to the North Manhattan Beach bid surfboard sculpture. So the artist is responsible for obtaining all of the permits. And so we have the entire team that's assisting him to develop that timeline between management services and cultural arts and community development to help him through that permitting process. But ultimately, the artist is responsible for that permitting process. So we're, again, working with him to get this project done.
This is the 10-year project, right?
Is it completed?
No. The artist is still working through the permitting process. So moving on, the digital wall project, the construction documents and permits are completed. Next steps, we'll be bidding out the project this fall and slated for March 2024 completion.
You guys might still be on council.
That one's going to happen while Steve and I are here. We're going to be the
so.
ribbon cutting for that one.
Hope so.
We
Watch
could do
the
a
Super
digital
Bowl.
ribbon cutting.
And then moving on to the ceramics kiln project. Again, the project design and permits are complete. Unfortunately, we just had the bid opening in September. I know, and unfortunately, there were no bidders. And so we are reaching out to companies that may have installed in other municipalities. So we're encouraging them to bid this project, and we're hoping to have construction early next year.
I would suggest reaching out to colleges that have kilns.
Well, we have the kiln. Oh, you mean the
For the
installation?
installation,
Okay, and I had a question about that. One of the ceramicists who, they're very excited about the kiln and they want to see the kiln installed. So they said, if we have a contractor, should we encourage them to, apply or, submit a bid? And I just want to know, do you have to be a certain type of municipal contractor or, I guess it would be meeting certain requirements, but they could encourage someone to apply.
Absolutely. And I think all of those specs would be listed on the bid package.
Okay, I'll triangulate that.
That would be wonderful.
Great.
Thank you. And we will reach out to any colleges in particular.
It's a good idea, Steve.
Nearby.
Wondering.
El Camino?
Okay. Thank you.
Loyola have an art program?
They do. Loyola has a big kiln. Rudy Fleck, my old ceramics teacher there. Whenever everything explode, he'd just say, make another.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
Oh,
You want me to go back?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So a thought occurred to me. I mean, I play tennis and I see them in there and they're waiting, sometimes when we're waiting to go into the ceramic studio. Is their work ever displayed anywhere? I mean, it just seems like it'd be so interesting to.
Yes, there are sales. We do have, and the art center as well with the community art show. Yeah. Come on down.
We can hear you, people at home can't. I wonder who that voice is in left field.
That distinct voice.
There you go.
Hi, Aylin Stewart, Cultural Arts Manager. Yes, the artwork, all of our students and our instructors frequently apply to the community, annual community exhibitions, which is on now and closing. So we typically display their work there. We also do a ceramic-specific exhibition at Art Center every 2 years because the ceramics history and contingent is so strong here. And for that exhibition, we select both students and our instructors who teach there and display their work as well. We did used to do a ceramic sale during Hometown Fair. We're not doing it this year. This year, we're just doing an open house to introduce the community to the studio, do some demos, things like that.
Great. Was there ever any thought to do it like, upstairs, when people come into the front desk there and the like, to display it so people, where we have a lot of traffic and people coming in and out?
I see what you're saying. We can certainly look into that. There just, I guess, the issues of spacing and protecting the artwork. Ceramics are...
Do you know a photographer who also does ceramics?
A photographer. And then put on the digital wall.
Yes.
It's very, it's very interesting, and I just would like to see exposure to the community, not maybe just in a specialized,
Could take the plywood murals.
1 week exhibit. It's just, I
Yeah.
mean, these are,
No,
they're
they're great.
inspired by the town, by the ocean, by the their lives and things. So I just think they're pretty interesting. So.
Certainly, when the digital wall goes up, that's something that could go on it, would be sort of a slideshow of artworks that are made in any of our classes, whether it's our drawing or painting or ceramics classes. I think that would be lovely.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Howorth?
I had the question about the kiln contractors. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Continue, please.
And I did want to mention, we are very fortunate to have Eric Brinkman, our cultural arts supervisor, who is able to repair this, and he's our tech expert who keeps the kiln moving from day to day. Our public art assessment, we're very excited. RLA is moving forward again. Their contract is in place, and with the individual assessment of each piece of artwork within the community, recommendations for deaccession, repair, ongoing maintenance, and budgeting, and costs for doing that with each art piece. Moving forward with the Bruce's Beach Art Project. So again, as you're aware, there was an RFP released, and they 26 proposals. They've narrowed that down to 5 of the top artists, and the APPC is working with those artists to further develop those concepts, and we're looking to return to City Council for further direction in January. Marine Avenue Turf Field Project, we're very excited. Sprint Turf is scheduled to be installed in December of this year. And then as directed by City Council, we will be returning in November for the adjustments to the per player and rental fees. To establish a field replacement fund moving forward. For Sandu Master Plan, we're excited to have the David Volz team back on board. The ad hoc committee worked with David Volz to synthesize all the feedback from the community survey, the outreach meetings. They are working now to put together conceptual designs that will be reviewed by the committee. There'll be a follow-up community input meeting in December to say, did we get it right? Were there any other changes? What other input can we add to the schematic designs? And then the final concept design will be considered by the commission and presented to City Council early next year. So the National Fitness Campaign, this is on the CIP list, and project the design is complete. It's been submitted for permitting, and we're looking at having it installed early next year. And then dog runs and parkettes, again with David Volz, we just met on site with the Parks and Recreation Ad Hoc Committee to develop a design. We're getting a scope and proposal for the dog run. Again, we've had multiple discussions with the school district as well, and we'll have community outreach meetings for this.
Why are we doing this?
To expand.
I got
yes,
that part. Why? I mean, do we have some giant demand for expansion? Because reading different articles, dog parks aren't always the best thing. So there's a huge demand for a bigger dog run.
It's heavily utilized. We've heard from a number of individuals, and I think it's also an opportunity to clean up that area. I think just visually, the sight lines to clean that up and move some of the sheds for the user group as well as the school district shed.
This is one of the instances where the folks on the east side of town have more than the folks, with the attention. Because there's all constant complaints about the dog park not being big enough, dog run not being big enough over here by Live Oak, but we haven't identified any other areas to expand it over here, though, have we?
Correct.
All right.
So Senior Scout House, as you know, the project was approved by the Planning Commission in August. Planning phase is nearing completion. Design should be completed in spring of 24, and project completion by summer of 26. And moving forward with the bag pool modernization, so the HMC group has been brought on board for architectural design services for the bag pool facility. The study is underway and includes site analysis, community engagement, needs assessment, conceptual designs, recommendations, and cost estimates. And a community outreach meeting is set for Manhattan at Manhattan Heights Community Center on November 13th from 6 to 8 p.m. We will also have a community survey and regular project updates that will be continuously available online as Public Works does for a number of their capital improvement projects. So moving forward to the pay and play renovation, this is another one where we would like to have some city council direction on this item. So this item has been on hold. The commission did discuss a number of different options. One, demolishing the existing building and building a futsal court, or restoring the building for potential programming. But there has been a number of new developments. Beach Cities Health District has reached out for a possible partnership with fitness-related programming. We've also heard throughout the community for possible East Side Library services at Marine Avenue Park, and then just a number of amenities that really could be improved, that sunken down area by Rocket Ship Hall. So we would like to return to council to consider a full park assessment, to put out an RFP to provide community input and develop a long-term plan to better serve the community for all of the park amenities.
A question on that one, Mark.
Yes.
The Eastside Library part of it, did you look at the idea of the record storage, Historical Society as part of that library consideration?
It absolutely could be.
What do you guys think, council, about the rest of that? If you're going to look at that for the Eastside Library, smaller satellite, why not throw in the idea of a record storage retention? The big fight was over, the Polywall Park field not being used. You have to build it somewhere. And why not? You've got a building and pad for it right there. So, sorry, Councilor Howorth?
No. I mean, I would consider it. I think I would like to see us be a little more holistic. Like, I would definitely consider this for an East Side Library and / records storage, etc. I want us to be holistic and not just say, well, now this is it, right? And I want us to go out to the community and build educate them on the opportunity of the records, archiving and storage with the library. So I want to educate them on that need, survey them on what they want, and look at the possible places and build that support before we say, well, let's do it there. But I personally would absolutely consider it, of course.
Thank you.
So.
If I can mention, at the next council meeting, we are coming back with a request from council for some direction. Now that Polywog will not be part of the library consideration, what do you want us to look at? Are there places you want us to spend our time assessing? The storage of documents certainly plays into that. And of course, the surplus funds, if we don't build a library, what
Right.
do you want to look at? So it's on your next council agenda to further dive into.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin?
Yes, so I really want to take a good close look at the library use. You already have, we can make money out of it. You need quarters to open up those doors, so that equipment's already in there. So
What?
it's a pay and play.
Oh.
It requires quarters to open up the doors and everything to play in there. But you've got parking, you've got, ease of access from all parts of the city, particularly the east side. There's a left turn traffic signal going into there. There could be overflow parking, like I mentioned. So it just seems to be a natural for that use. So I definitely am interested in seeing what we can do there.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Napolitano?
Thank you. I see it more like a dead-end street. I don't see it's in a remote corner. You got it next to the village. You've got the studios there. The folks across the street are the closest thing, but it's a busy street. I don't see it as a destination point. I'm not gonna. I won't try and dismiss this out of hand, but the point of the library and the merging of it with the historical artifacts was to use the excess funds that we have in the tune of $9.5 million. It wasn't just to provide library services. As so many people were opposed to Polywog said, there's no, we already have a library, why do we need another one? If that continues, if that's the continued sentiment, the other part about the historical storage is let's define what the storage is. Is it just to store it to keep it safe from disaster, from fire and things like that? Or is it to display? If it's to display, then I really have a hard time separating it from the Little Red House in the park. That was the idea also with locating it in the park. People don't want that, that's fine, but if it's not adjacent to the Little Red House, you're really dividing up the collection and the other, what'd I do?
That was Siri.
You're dividing up the history. And I don't see the point, unless we move the Little Red House, which I don't think there's an appetite to pay for that either. I don't think the library system will pay for that because the library funds are to go to library services. They're LA County funds still. So I just don't see it. We'll see.
So bring it back, and let's take a look at that. It makes a conjunction with City Manager Bo's comments. We need to see what the options are.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to echo that. I agree. I think I want to keep it in the scope, possibilities subject to a broader conversation that this council really must have, should have, with regard to the surplus and other potential locations. And this is one. It's not the ideal location. Thank you.
I'll just add on to, regarding the funds, if, we're not going to build a building, then I would apply them to pay down the bonds on the current library that we have now. I would suggest that. And again, anything we do out here, that building won't stay. If you're going to make it a library, you're going to tear that down, build a new one. So.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. All right, round robin again. Councilor Lesser, your name is still there.
No, I'm taking it back.
Councilor Altana, are you going again?
I'm trying to withdraw.
Councilor Howorth, you're up.
No.
Thank you. So I think I hear Director Mo saying, okay, we're going to come back and talk about some sort of survey maybe, or some sort of outreach effort regarding the library.
Well, that's what we'll talk about, is what
Right,
do you want us to look at as alternatives?
Right, but I would like us to, one thing that got missed in all the discussions that happened out there in social media about the library potential in Polywog was this notion of using the library funds to bolster up our historical archives and to help all of that. And so I think that we also need to do a better job, and maybe we work with the library commissioners to help them, or have them help us, but tell this, this idea that we had of being able to, the county library had agreed to, help us with our archiving, help us with displaying, help us with storing. That was a kind of groundbreaking idea, and not enough people even understood that. Right, so there's surveying, but there's also educating and building that awareness, and I think that's sort of missing in all the things that we're talking about. So, for next time, but
for the next meeting, we'll repeat exactly what she just said.
I will.
And we're on the right path. We're on the right path.
Got it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
What else do you have going on?
Okay, moving on. So an update on the Juneteenth celebration. The ad hoc committee has been meeting, gathering input for the Juneteenth event in 2024. They had a listening session on July 22nd, and a second session is scheduled for November 4th. I know it is a bit different on the timeline here, but we've got so many great activities going citywide that it was tough to plug in those dates. So we plan to bring it to the Parks and Recreation Commission in November and hope to bring it to City Council in December.
Good.
As for event enhancements, again, the Parks and Recreation Commission Ad Hoc Committee has met on a few different occasions, and they discussed it preliminarily at their September meeting. They're going to make final recommendations at the October meeting, and we hope to bring this to the City Council shortly thereafter.
Okay. Councilor Lesser has a comment.
Can you just give a broad scope of what enhancements mean in this context?
Yes, and so we watched the City Council meeting to make sure that we were following City Council direction, and so basically I can list out the events that they've been discussing for what we are currently doing, what maybe we should be doing. That includes Memorial Day, July 4th, Veterans Day, Labor Day, the 9/11 Memorial event, Flag Day, Salute to the Troops, Armed Forces Day. Okay. And also we have met with local residents who are veterans to get their take on what we think we should be doing as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and this is another item which we are seeking City Council direction. The military wall was a work plan item that was developed by the Parks and Recreation Commission as well as staff. One of the challenges was looking at the different guidelines and what would be those qualifying factors. So would the service member have to have lived within the city? Could a resident nominate multiple people that didn't live within the city? So there was a lot of challenges with the guidelines. Fortunately, the Fallen Soldier Memorial concept was brought to staff as well as the commission. The commission discussed this at their September meeting and recommended moving forward with that concept for city council consideration. One other element of this that was discussed is, if a fallen soldier memorial is put together, this could be a monument, this could be a sculpture, so this could be added to the Cultural Arts Commission work plan as part of those 15 sculptures. And then this also could be used as an annual, place for a Memorial Day event moving forward, and the commission can discuss that. So we'd like city council direction on this item.
Mr. Montana, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same criteria issues would still apply to this. I guess, that's more manageable if that's the goal, but I think we're missing the idea that the memorial that we have out there now is meant to address fallen soldiers as well as those who are still living and who didn't die in the line of duty. That was the whole design by Ish Medrano, was that you have the folded flag, the one that is upright, representing those veterans who are living or still serving, and living in those in the horizontal is to recognize those who have fallen and died in combat. So it's addressed. You could add names to it, I suppose, but I mean, it is addressed through our current one. We just haven't had a Memorial Day ceremony out there recognizing that. I don't know if we really, if we're going to do that. I think the original intent was to recognize all people who served in the armed forces who were Manhattan Beach residents. They certainly have recognition in the Veterans Park in Redondo Beach. You can buy a brick for people, whether they were Redondo residents or not, but people who are relatives, So what does everyone else think?
Well, I don't think I was on council, I'm sure it was when the military wall was approved as a work plan item, so I don't know what the thinking was. Was it brought up about the design of the current memorial that's out there now? Because I'd actually never heard that description. It's quite powerful, actually. Good, that's pretty amazing. So I don't know. So when you guys talked about it, you did mention that. So, I don't know what the intent was of the additional one. If we have that, would it be placed by that memorial rather than someplace else? Because then all of a sudden we've got a couple different memorials in different places. So.
Councilor Lester, then Mr. Frank, and then we'll wrap up with a comment and move to the next one. But go ahead.
I'd like the Parks and Rec Commission to revisit this issue in light of what Councilmember Napolitano just said. I do recall, just as a resident, what our former staff member, Ish Medrano, created there with the direction of council. It's a very powerful work. It hasn't fully been utilized based on all of its symbolism. How does that play into the objectives that we have for a more robust Memorial Day event? Maybe we already have the sculpture right there, as opposed to going out for something new. I welcome that further review by the Parks and Recs Commission, if my council colleague agrees.
Spend the money on flags.
Yeah, so I agree with Councilmember Lesser's comments, and also being directly across from the 9/11 memorial, you have recognition of those who gave their lives, in wartime. Just on a technicality, soldiers are typically identified with the U.S. Army, Marines as Marines, in the Navy as seamen, and sailors. Even the Coast Guard is considered the military. So I would like to sort of examine that, as far as fallen soldiers, maybe something like fallen heroes. I think when I was talking to City Manager Mo, he thought of that. So just something like, I mean, I just want to prevent an issue, and maybe we should reach out to the veteran, and the families to see how they'd like to be remembered.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. Your options are presented to the City Council in November on this item, so we're not making decisions tonight, folks. We're just talking about ideas to bring back. So everybody's heard, and Mark's taking copious notes, right? Good. Next item.
Okay, all right. So just an update on the donation policy and the development of the park nonprofit. I know the ad hoc committee from the commission is working diligently to bring this forward. They are hoping to present their findings at the...
One second. I think
apologize.
the city attorney wanted to make note of something.
I think you asked for public comment. Didn't see Mr. McCauley raising his hand.
Oh.
I couldn't hide him back there. You want to come down and speak? So please come down here.
Oh, not at all, not at all.
Too late.
He's Gary.
Okay, my name's Gary McCauley, and I am a U.S. Navy veteran. And I would like to point out that on some level, and I can't say this myself because I've not been to battle, thank God, but there's often a survivor guilt thing that kicks in for people who were veterans but whose buddies got blown up right next to them. So on some level, combining the Veterans Memorial and the memorial for those that lost their lives is a conflict. And at this time, I also believe that their names need to be remembered. Their names are not up anywhere at this point. Nobody knows who they are. Well, I know who they are, but nobody seems to know who they are. A separate monument for a separate service away from the Veterans Monument. Veterans are the guys that made it through. They served and they came back, or they served in the service and there wasn't even a war going on, but they still served our nation. But those who gave all deserve a special monument for their sacrifice. They gave all. And a small monument in a quiet place away from the other monument, I think is a reasonable thing to do with cultural arts funds. We have plenty of cultural arts funds, and why not spend it on remembering the people that we always say we will never forget? We've forgotten them. So I urge you to create a second monument and to keep those various, and not to mesh them all and mix them all up and say, there you go, we already got it, Please, separate monument for those who gave all.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Public Art Trust Fund. Yes, good point. Go ahead, Mark,
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
Oh, not at all. Okay, again, on the park nonprofit donation policy, we hope to bring that back to City Council in December. And then, let's see here, our last item should be, so an update on HAI, and as City Manager Mo mentioned, the library updates. So HAI has been made significant progress moving forward with processing, cataloging the historical collection. The digitization of newspapers, photographs, records, and the collection will be early next year. And it's just been a great partnership, I will say, between HAI. We just met with the Historical Society board members today and found a storage space for them to go through their materials, but looking at that non-collection material and an educational programming, having those discussions, it's really exciting to be at this point, and it's really a great partnership, again, between HAI, the city, and the Historical Society. And then with that, again, the library update, as the city manager mentioned, will be returning to city council on the 17th for further direction on the location options as well as the surplus funds.
Well done.
And that concludes my presentation. I just have some fun photos of other programs too to conclude with.
Parks make life better.
That's right. Thank you for that, Mark.
Thank
Council,
you.
Any questions while he's here? Do you want me to open up public comment? Councilor Lesser.
I want to circle back to a question I asked throughout your presentation, and that is, I think many of us are thrilled to see Parks and Rec really moving forward with a number of projects on a number of different platforms, different media, different types of parks, different arts, and in different initiatives. But the concern is I want to make sure that there's enough capacity in your department to implement these projects. And all the while we're coming up with potential new ones, I worry about it directing attention away from some of the core priorities. So I just want to ask, I know there was an issue indicated that, well, we can just direct staff to do it. Well, I want to hear from staff whether you believe you have the capacity to follow through on the projects that you have already received direction on from council.
So thank you for the question, Councilmember Lesser, and I share your concerns. But that being said, I have these conversations with the city manager and talk through each of these projects. What's really been helpful is creating these tight timelines for each of the projects, so then we can gauge what the resources that are going to be needed. And when we come up with those challenging times, which we do at times when we are resource thin and we do not have the bandwidth, I share that with the city manager, and hopefully then we can triage and figure out a way to get it done and prioritize.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, open up public comment. Who wants to talk about anything Parks and Rec is discussed tonight? Now is the time. Seeing no one running down here. How about on Zoom, Martha? All right, close public comment. Council comments? Anyone? Any more additional direction, Parks and Rec? Anybody?
Carry on.
Yeah, carry on.
Well done, Mark. Thank you, guys.
art.
Appreciate it. Way to go, Parks and Rec. See you at the next ribbon cutting.
For sure.
All right, our next item up is number 13, consideration of resolution adding the Camellia as a second city flower. City Manager Mo.
Your Honor?
Yes.
8:13, should we take a short break?
Yes, we'll take our break. How about 10 minutes and we'll come right back.
Excellent.
With the anticipation bill.
right, ready. Welcome back. On item 13, consideration of resolution adding the Camellia as a second city flower with City Manager Mo.
Yes, just briefly, this is back at the council's request. The staff report provides a little bit of history on how the Camellia was a city flower up until February of 2011, at which point it was replaced with the primrose. And so tonight I'm sorry?
Nothing.
I'll turn it over to Councilmember Howorth. She brought this back as an item, so she gets to kick it off.
Thank you, Thank you. I was saying it's the beach primrose that was adopted in 2011. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ali Latrania is not here tonight, so I thought I would just give you a few key points. I wanted to let everybody know how this came to be. Frankly, lifelong resident and artist and Manhattan Beach passionate, historian friend Jackie May brought it up to me 2 years ago when I wasn't even on council. And it was around the time that Mayor Costa dedicated a plaque to Francis Uematsu. So I was really pleased because I thought it would be a beautiful gesture, and everyone knows how much I love flowers. So yeah, I asked for it to be agendized. And the item before us is simply adopting a resolution which would add the Camellia as a second city flower, and as City Manager mentioned, restore the Camellia really as one of our city flowers, as it was for 70 years from 1959 to 2011. And obviously, I support keeping the beach primrose. But just a few key points that to highlight from the staff report and also that are additional. There are zero fiscal implications to this item. And the public should know, and my council members know, very little staff time was used to create this report or put this on the agenda item. As you could tell earlier, we care very much about public safety. Our police chief let us know all the advances we've been making. This did not come at the expense of something else. It's worth noting that our city website currently doesn't even mention the beach primrose as our flower. And so it's not like we have to spend staff time making a connection or correction to that or changing the logo. Also, I reached out to the Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden, and their board actually supports 2 official city flowers and sees this as an opportunity to bring our community together by recognizing the past while celebrating our future. And they suggested, and this is their suggestion, not mine, that the beach primrose could be designated as the official native wildflower and the Camellia the official historical flowering shrub, which would be recognizing the Uematsu Star Nursery and the contributions to the early growth of the city. So I love that wording because I want people to understand that I think that the importance of this is maybe not what happened to the Uematsu family, though it did, what was done to all Japanese Americans. But Mr. Uematsu was a pioneer, an innovator, a successful horticulturalist who we should be proud of, that contributed to what is Manhattan Beach, whether it was the land that became Maricosta or the innovations he made in the agricultural industry. Maricosta has already acknowledged the history of what happened to the Uematsu family through the efforts of Chuck Currier, a teacher, and frankly, Maricosta historian. So they have a plaque at the campus which honors them. This I see as a way to acknowledge, well, first of all, the Camellia and the Uematsu Camellias, 300,000 of them were bought soon after the order, I think it was Executive Order 9066, which was the internment of Japanese Americans. Francis Uematsu sold about 300,000 of his camellias to what would now be known as Descanso Gardens. So we should be proud that the camellias that were grown and cultivated here make up what is now Descanso Gardens. And another resident, John Oshiro, went to the gardens, went to other nurseries, and has been collecting Uematsu varieties and is now growing them in Manhattan Beach. And frankly, there's Uematsu camellias growing in Manhattan Beach all over. As I mentioned, resident Jackie May in my intro, what struck me in my conversations with her, beyond all the history and all the reasons, is just the love and the fond, nostalgic memories she has of camellia bushes as a child. She said they were everywhere. They were in her mom's yard, all her front yards. And it really just harkens back to this Manhattan Beach that sometimes we romanticize, a simpler time. So it's a way to honor this pioneering cultivator, but also a nod to a cherished past and to a lovely flower. A flower that I believe is part of our history, and I think it would be just a lovely gesture to make the Camellia one of our official flowers, again. So that we honor the past and look forward to the future. So that's my staff report, but I do really look forward to the comments. And I do have a lot of the historical background if my council members have any questions.
Okay, we'll stop there. Council questions? If not, open up public comment. Seeing none, public comment? You want to come talk now on this item, please?
You were here first.
Defense goes last.
What goes last?
Defense.
They're working out who's going to talk first.
Then close public comment. I mean,
You were here first. I'm citizen.
okay.
All right, let's close public.
Close it up.
We'll go to Zoom. You're our only speaker, so you get to go first.
That's right.
Go for it.
Hi, good evening, esteemed council members. I'm Diana Scarr, a Manhattan Beach resident, and I'm hoping that adding the Camellia as a second city flower, perhaps as you suggested as the historical flower to complement the beach primrose, is a straightforward request. The stories of Asian Americans and their contributions to our country and to our local community are often hard to find, and I say that from experience. So thank you, City Council, for putting this on the agenda. The fact that we were having this discussion today means a lot to me. But not just to me, I know firsthand that it means a lot to our broader community. Back in July, I helped organize the Grandpa Cherry Blossom screening and panel discussion. And this was a documentary that was created by student filmmaker Maddox Chen, who just recently graduated from MiraCosta. And there, over 200 residents, students, and community members attended this event because they wanted to learn more about the history of the land that MiraCosta sits today. A history that was just recently discovered, as mentioned, by our community because of the curiosity and passion of a former teacher and historian, Chuck Currier. By passing this resolution, our city is taking a proactive and meaningful step to raise visibility to a pivotal point in our city's history that would change the landscape of Manhattan Beach forever. This is not simply about digging up a dark history about World War II. This is about celebrating the significant contributions of Francis Uematsu, a Manhattan Beach entrepreneur, a businessman, a pioneer who saw a vision for the land that much of MiraCosta sits on today and who was key in shaping the city's commercial potential. So please do not be persuaded by thoughts about this as being performative, because to me, this is just the beginning that we could do more. And finally, please don't punt this resolution thinking that we could look for something better. Mayor Montgomery, you said it yourself earlier this meeting. We like to get things done, so let's get it done. I promise you, you've got lots of positive momentum behind
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next speaker? Well, no, you're the only one left.
Done that about 30 times tonight. I'm sorry. Council, city symbols are supposed to reflect the essence of the city, state, or nation they represent. They're supposed to represent the people, all of the people. Their personality, characteristics, and spirit. They're symbols of pride in their home. Our current city flower, the beach primrose, is all that. The flower is a tough little beauty that grows and thrives on the sand dunes, just as our town does. And the flower is a native of our town, written about by residents since the earliest times of our city. Yes, the camellia was once the city flower starting in 1959, not for any connection to the Uematsus, but solely because it was the flower of the hour. It was popular nationwide. Alabama made the camellia the state flower the same year we made it our city flower. A lot of cities made it their city flower. But it was promptly forgotten, as fashions happen, which led to our current flower, which perfectly represents Manhattan Beach. We don't need a second city flower, plain and simple. We don't have 2 city flags, 2 city mottos, 2 anything else. I'm disappointed and dismayed that council wishes to declare a second city flower to honor an individual and his family with honestly a minimal connection to our town. F.M. Uematsu was a Montebello resident with farms in 3 cities, and one of them just happened to be in a corner of Manhattan Beach. So basically the connection is about as thin as the deed that it was written on. It's as if you're handing out another city pin or a soccer trophy. City symbol recognition is not a prize to be awarded to individuals. We have lots of individuals in our town's history that actually have a huge connection. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. I just want to say that it always goes back to
Go ahead and finish your thought, Gary.
I'm sorry. It always goes back to the relocation and of the unfair treatment of the Japanese. That's what it always becomes about. It always does. As well as, of course, the sale of the property for Maricosta High School, neither one of which the city of Manhattan Beach is responsible for. And I don't think that we need to make the Camellia, the symbol of the Uematsus and their family, a symbol of Manhattan Beach. They don't represent the entire community, but just a tiny portion of our history. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one likes to come down the front until it's the very end. I don't know what it is. Something about sitting in front of me does that.
Good evening, Mayor.
Welcome.
Montgomery and City Council. I'm sorry, I just got news that a good friend of mine just passed away. Okay. The Camellia is not insignificant to our city at all. It's, when I moved here, it was not the place to live. The people didn't go to the beach. It was not popular. I know that's hard to believe, but it's true. Many cities, when I was doing this a year ago, many cities have 2 city flowers, a formal flower and a native or kind of, shall we say, weed, kind of a, one that grows everywhere. So it's very appropriate that we have 2 city flowers. The Camellia was our city flower for so long, and it was such a huge part of the community growing up. It's a gorgeous flower. There's over 200 varieties. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it, and I do know that when I was at the meeting when it was changed, and the Botanical Gardens was, at the forefront of that, and it was discussed that no one knew the reason why we had the Camellia, which happens here often because there's not a lot of natives left in town. So no one remembered, and I tried to, I didn't know the history of the Uematsu family back then, but I did know that it was our flower for forever. Anyway, so I felt bad about it, but when I heard the history from Mr. Courier, I felt really bad because the family's not asking for anything. They don't want retribution, or they want nothing. Retribution, that's the wrong word. They don't want anything. They just are very proud of their family and very proud of what they're.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks.
Anyone else? How about on Zoom now, Martha? Anybody else raise their hand?
There's no raise hands.
All right, close public comment. Council? Who wants to jump on the flower issue first? No one's getting
I
excited.
just have a question, maybe for Councilmember Howorth. The Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden Board has suggested this idea of a native wildflower with an historic flower. Are you aware of other communities that have a similar type of designation?
Yeah. Well, it's been mentioned that Culver City has 2 flowers. I didn't do the research on that. The state of California has 42 symbols. including 4 types of nuts are our state nut. Now, I'm not saying
We have
that
more nuts in California than
there are
4.
more nuts in California.
Fruits, too.
There's also, guess what? The state of California has a state tartan. Did you know that? And 2 types of official dances, the West Coast swing and the square dance. But so there are other
There are other
communities.
cities that have more than
Absolutely,
one.
absolutely, for different reasons. Yep.
And are they designated, like, as a natural wildflower versus a historic flower? Are those designations new or unique? Or?
I don't know the answer to that. I thought it was a very interesting idea that the Botanical Garden Board had. I mean, I thought they were very open to it and had no problem with it. So appreciate those. I don't know the answers.
Councilor Thomas, Steve?
Thank you, Your Honor. And I will admit from the beginning, I'm rather agnostic about this for the very reason that Councilmember Howorth just said. Did you know that we have, and the vast majority of people do not know what the symbols of California are, maybe the poppy, but besides the 20 people that knew the beach primrose was our official flower, no one's been clamoring for more symbols, more this, that, and as was pointed out by an email earlier today, these are just city councils sitting around saying this. We haven't sought anyone's input on this. We haven't gone out and surveyed. We haven't said, hey, even something online, is this what we want? Was the beach primrose? Just 5 people sitting up here saying that, and that's our job. I get it. This was brought before us, so we're going to make a decision here. But I'm agnostic in the sense that, what is the purpose here? What's the meaning? We've gone over a few things. I guess my approach to it is why are we doing this? And the official flower. I said, Ms. Carr, you said, well, don't punt it so we can do something better. But is this really any good when you're naming a flower that no one's going to remember after this initial hoopla? I mean, we can put it on our website, great, but the primrose wasn't on there, nobody knows it is. And even if we're on our website, okay, we check that box. Is anything really going to come about because of it? Is this the best symbol to either, and if it's not about being the official flower or having 2 flowers, because it doesn't matter if we have 2, 3, 4, 5. It tends to dilute the meaning of them. And then if we return to what is the meaning of this, is it the Umatsus? There's been questions about what their tie to Manhattan Beach really was and compared to what others contributed. Yes, they had a commercial business here. It was to make money. What else did they do in the community? It's not well known. Something very bad happened to them. It was a horrible chapter in U.S. history that the city of Manhattan Beach did not have a hand in. But, and that's the dividing line, well, what about Bruce's Beach? What about this? The city was directly involved in that. And then if it's about the internment, then I guess it brings up the question to me when we're talking about AAPI community and everything is, gee, have we made any effort to know who else in our community at that time could have been subject to that internment? Do we know what other residents suffered the same fate as Umatsus? I don't know the answer to that. I appreciate this. It seems a little rushed, though. It seems like it's a nice notion, it's a good intention, but is this the best way to recognize what we're trying to recognize? And what we're recognizing depends on who you ask, right? Maybe it's the flower, but if it's more than that, right, the Umatsus, is this really what I was a big supporter and took part in all the events for Go for Broke, for instance. They raised money. They put a marker in Venice where one of the depots was where they process the internees. I don't even know why I'd call them internees. They were incarcerated. So, is this the best way? I'm not sold on it because I think that in a week it'll be forgotten. And unless you bring something else into this fold, and I'm not looking to do another event, but maybe we bring it into something, I don't know. The Umatsus family's been recognized already by the school district, appropriately so, because that's where the property was. And, this needs to be more than just us two, let's check the box. I can't say me too anymore because that has a whole different meaning too. So, but us two, school district, city needs to do something. Okay, but if the city's going to do something, is this the best that we can do? Naming a flower that few people, I would love, we're supposed to be having some curriculum come out of the whole Bruce's Beach thing that's going to be taught in our schools. It's not happening. Okay, it's not happening. This isn't going to result in any curriculum or any study in our local schools either as to our local history. So again, we can check this box, but have we achieved anything? Activity doesn't always equal achievement. And we can name the flower, but have we really recognized anything? Have, the family, okay, but I really would like to know if there were other residents that we had that were actually residents of Manhattan Beach that suffered the same fate as being intern. I would love to know that before we make a decision, and if there's a better way to recognize it. Maybe this is the subject of an art piece too. I don't know. But it seems like those things are more significant than naming a flower to me, because that has just gotten lost over the decades in terms of meaningfulness to the city. I just don't find it that meaningful.
All right. Representative Franklin?
Great, thank you, Mayor. I found the most powerful email from, comment from the public was from Mary Uematsu Kao. And I'm sorry, I believe I met her, and I'm not quite sure of her relationship to Francis.
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter? Yeah, okay, I thought it was daughter or granddaughter. And, she said, well, I can respect the reasons for making the beach primrose another official flower, as it is native to the area. It is also native to the entire coastline, or to the coastline. That is not specific to Manhattan Beach, where the Camellia, I believe, is specific to Manhattan Beach. It was grown here, it was sold here, it was transported from here, whether it's in fashion or not. It was a significant event in our city's history. It's beautiful, as is the beach primrose. I just think that two of them can coexist, and we saw that from the South Bay Botanical Garden, who are, our go-to people. I mean, when we wanted to fill in some fountains like the dog statue and the like, we went to the South Bay Botanical Garden to help us do that. They're the experts, and they feel that it can live side by side, as commemorative of Manhattan Beach. I don't think it has to be exclusive to one or the other. And then you mentioned too Chuck Currier. Remember, he's a coach too. He was a football coach. And that's where, we knew him in our family. But he gave a very good reckoning, about the, about the family and its influence and its, of course, the horrible thing that happened to them. And I don't think it's to do that. I think it's just to commemorate this beautiful thing. I mean, you see it all over, all over the country, all over the world, people vying to have their treasured and cherished flower, wine, whatever, be the symbol of that particular area. And so I think it should, I think it should coexist with the beach primrose. And we're all the better for it. It's not subtracting, it's adding and multiplying, the enjoyment of our city. So.
All right. Councilor Howorth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Councilmember Napolitano, I appreciate your comments that, we should, maybe it's not all we should do. The schools haven't added this curriculum. We haven't done much outreach, et cetera. I appreciate those comments. What I will say is I think it's a good start. And I think one thing I chuckled inside, couldn't hear it, it was in my head, when you were talking about flower, naming a flower, what does it matter? Because as a gardener, I was thinking about it today, I have my pink roses that I like, and I know what variety they are. And I was thinking about flowers and how, yes, you can have more than one or whatever, because I was thinking there's some really wonderful people in this community. I could see if I had the gift that Francis Uematsu had, and I could actually cultivate a new breed of rose, you know, I would name one for Charlotte Lesser. You know, if I could do that. You know how they name roses, like there's the Barbara Streisand and there's the Queen Elizabeth. You know, maybe someday we'll end up with more than one rose or want more than 2 flowers, and that's okay. And it's a starting point, it's a symbol. I think opposing this does actually more damage than good, for not a good reason. But I know you're agnostic. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, or say no to it to me is like, why? You know, like well, wait, okay, go ahead, and then I'm not done.
To me, it's not about opposition. It's a start, but if it ends up like the beach primrose before that, the knowledge of that, and the knowledge of the camellia before that, then it means nothing.
Well, but that's on us and on everybody. You know, the fact that the importance that this nursery had been forgotten, the fact that it had been forgotten that the family owned the land, the fact all these things. This is one of those efforts. All these things, stories have to be retold. History has to be retold over and over again, right? It's the reason if you're religious and you go to church or you go to temple, they're telling the same stories all the time because we forget and we have to be reminded. So it's about being told. But I appreciate what you're saying. You want it to be meaningful. I mean, in your heart, I think, or in what you're saying is you want it to be meaningful. To me it is, and to you it might not be. So we do have a first and a second. I do want to make a comment that somebody said it wasn't native to here. You know, the rose isn't native to Pasadena, and yet there's the Rose Parade and all the rose stuff you do. I mean, it is part of our history. So I know there's more comments, but again, I've made a motion. My motion, Councilmember Franklin seconded it, and I know there's more discussion, but could I say what my motion is?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's so thoughtful of you. I was going to suggest that we adopt the language that the Botanical Garden suggested, because as you said, there's sort of the last word on flowers, which is that the beach primrose be designated the official native wildflower, and the camellia, the official historical flowering shrub, recognizing the Uematsu Star Nursery and its contributions to the growth of the city. So that would be my motion.
Okay, Councilor Lesser.
Okay.
I understand the questions that's being asked about why name a second city flower. To the comments that we've already heard, I would add that the beach primrose is native. It grows on sand dunes, it uses less water, and it certainly was consistent with a policy initiative around the time of the 2011 council and the council that Councilmember Howorth and I initially served on with the mayor, where we were looking at sustainability. It was consistent with that messaging of a plant that didn't require much water. So it was consistent with a policy priority of the council at that time. I completely agree with Councilmember Napolitano insofar as most people have no idea what our city flower is. But I nonetheless land in support of the motion. I land in support of it because it's not just what happened to the Uematsu family, but this was a part of our history. This was our city flower for 52 years. Moreover, the amount of real estate that was dedicated to the cultivation of the original flower of our community is much larger than most people realize. It was far larger than just the Maricosta property. I forget, was it 70 acres?
120.
120 acres, a significant part of the southern part of our city on east of Sepulveda Boulevard. Was dedicated to growing camellias. I like the idea of acknowledging our historic flower, potentially using it as a teaching moment, and moreover, recognizing an historic part of our community. It's a teaching opportunity. It makes certain segments of our community be heard, have their story, part of our story, which it absolutely is. And I don't think it takes away from the desert primrose as also being the flower that we honor. So it's helpful to hear about other cities, because I had also done some research and not found other cities with more than one flower. But to hear that is further helpful to me.
Mr. Montano, you first, and I'll wrap it up at the end.
Trying to understand this, you guys were on the council that changed it from the
No,
Camellia to the
we
Primrose?
weren't. It was after.
Blame it on the mayor.
But what he was, can I just comment? He was saying.
Wait, not your turn. You finish up,
I'm
then I want to finish.
I mean, like I said, I'm agnostic. I'm fine with voting in favor. There's nothing to oppose here, except that, you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to be forgotten. So, okay.
That's it. I'll start us off with the one historical fact. We've talked more about this than our own budget.
I knew it. I was going to bet.
15 more minutes on this item than our city budget, folks. That tells you how important this really is, right? So with that said, yes, I was the mayor in 2011 when the same exact discussion happened. Deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra used to say. And guess who the main proponent was? The Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden, arguing in favor of the primrose. My, have things have changed. 12 years later, it's a complete reversal. They flipped and come right back. Oh, no, we never did that. And I go, it's right here. It's on our staff report. We didn't do that. It's right in front of us. So I abstained for two different reasons. One, it got so nasty in the emails from both sides.
Really?
Lady copied it, said, and she put MB United at the bottom. I said, I got it. I understand it. It went around the city and up and said, hey, folks, it's not about MB United. It's a simple discussion. Do you want to have a second flower, shrub, tree, sequoia, whatever you want to call it? Yes or no? That's all. I don't hear about the history. That's all before I wasn't born then. None of us in this room were born then. Has nothing to do with the city. The pissed me off part was when someone wrote in favor, the city benefited from this transaction. It's not true. I said, you realize what you just said? That wasn't us. That was the school board. So don't claim the city didn't benefit from it completely. We weren't around, number one. And two, it wasn't the city. Get your facts right. But there's so much going back, and the complete idea of the flower change never got lost. They were so busy doing this to each other that it never got about, wait, it's a simple question, yes or no. And that's why I'm abstaining, because both sides have said so much BS on this subject. I go, you know what? I'm out. You guys want to do this on your own? I'm out of this. It's disgusting on both of them. So I said, I'm out of it. So don't say anything else. It's my time to say, you know what? Vote. Council comments are over. Move along, and we'll talk about next year's budget. So roll call vote, please.
So
I'm
before
just sorry
the
you
vote,
experienced that. That's all I was going to say.
and not to prolong this anymore, so there is a resolution in the packet. It just says, as the second city flower, I think you had some additional language.
Yeah, so I wanted to adopt that resolution with the suggested language from the Botanical Garden. Do you want me to read that again?
Is that part of the record? I mean, you did read it
I
already.
read it, and I can, yeah.
Clarification is you want the amount of him listed as a
No, it's
beneficiary
the
of this, or
official,
just a
no,
flower
the
change?
official historic flowering shrub.
Stop.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
To adopt the res as amended?
Okay.
Just to be clear,
Everybody's clear.
It was the Redondo School District.
Otherwise, we're
that
going to hear
brought
about it
the
again
Yeah, it was the
tomorrow.
Redondo School District.
All right. Roll call vote.
It wasn't about MB United, that's weird.
Motion passes 401.
All right. Those who scoring at home, bring it back in 20 years from now. We'll hear it again.
Everybody talk about camellias.
Next item is city council requests and reports, including AB 1234 reports. I know all of us, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just was going to be the first, I guess, to say that I was proud to attend the League of California Cities annual meeting in Sacramento. I found it informative. There were multiple sessions about issues that we deal with, are dealing with as a city, that we share with many other cities, including homelessness, the housing requirements and mandates from California, how other cities have addressed them, and coming issues that I found interesting, AI in government. How are governments preparing to utilize the technology? How do they protect their residents from some of the threats? And there were multiple other sessions. These are just examples. There was one that was impactful on hate speech, for example. I know certain council members hate discussions on hate speech, but nonetheless, there were really informative sessions, substantive sessions, and it was helpful to meet with other city leaders in the state.
Thank you. Councilman Fontano, then Councilman Howorth.
Yeah, I attended to what Councilmember Lesser said, and it was a nice way to celebrate my birthday as well.
Oh, my golly. And for the public, we have to publicly report out when we spend city funds to attend something, so that's why we're all saying we all went and did this. And I will submit the packet from the conference to the city clerk's office, so if any member of the public wants to see the sessions that we could attend and did attend. And I had really good banana cream pie.
I actually have the booklet here.
Almost.
Yes. Here's the book.
Oh, good, great, thank you.
You're up, Joe.
Okay, in addition to the banana cream pie, I learned quite a bit here. It was really interesting to meet a person or to see a person or be presented to by a person from HCD and to kind of get...
Tell them what HCD is.
Housing Community Development.
Community Development
State.
Department.
Yeah, the state. And so sort of get into their head on what they're looking for. So it just opened my eyes to several things there. And the exchanges were very good with the public there. I forget what the title was of the session, but it was housing mandates.
Yeah, you can find it.
Housing mandates that you're going to see in your future, I think, or something like that.
A local agency's guide to the HCD's Housing Accountability Unit.
We're going to Shaft Cities is what the...
And, well, that's what I was leading to.
There's that.
Yeah, how the chefs sit.
So that was very informative, and several others as well. There was one on homelessness that I found very interesting. There's changes, or there's, how would you call it, to Boise versus Martin. There's
Challenges?
There's extra court changes
Oh,
changes or modifications to it based upon some rulings coming out of the court. So those are good to stay on top of and be aware as well. So I appreciated the opportunity.
So I'll let you go first, Steve.
I have to add one more. Last Thursday night, I did attend an event. It was recognizing our own mayor, Richard Montgomery, as being installed as, for the third time, a three-peat as president of the Independent Cities Association, a very valuable organization we're part of that advocates on behalf of local cities here in the Los Angeles area.
Thank you.
Which I attended as well.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, very good. Thank you. It's good for all of us. That was a fun event. As far as the state league goes, yes, I was there. The two favorites of mine were, what did the mayor just say? It's an actual class.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
surprised. And then the hostile council meetings across the state.
Yes.
What they've all encountered since COVID. Every meeting has had to do what Quinn told us to tonight, to read out statements in advance and having their police there because it got so bad. But I'm glad we all went. I think it's a long time since all of us have gone anywhere with the city manager and the city attorney. It was great to have everybody there and see us all there to see what's going on there. But definitely worth it. I'm glad we went and I look forward to next year. With that, we'll move to the next item up, which is to consider a request by Councilmember Lesser and Councilmember Howorth to discuss the replacement of the exercise equipment on Veterans Parkway with a report from City Manager Mo.
Yes, actually, items 15, 16, and 17 are all looking for a third vote from the council in order to give direction.
Joe?
I'll give that.
Okay,
Great.
which one? The exercise equipment?
Yeah, the exercise equipment.
Okay, there's your third.
Yes.
The next one is the request by Councilor Howorth and Councilor Lesser to discuss a potential event and proclamation regarding Stand Up Against Hate Week.
I can want me to give a little bit more information, or you want to? Okay. Well, we talked about, you guys want some more information about how much staff time would be. So, so the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate, this is not Manhattan Beach United or MB United. This is a group that's formed, that's outside the city now, but it's got city council members from Redondo, Hermosa, El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, school board members from all these, Beach Cities Health District faith groups, and other nonprofits. And so all the cities in the beach area, beach cities, are being asked to, consider doing events during this week. Stand Up Against Hate Sorry, it is a word. It is a strong word. My mom wouldn't let me say it when I was growing up. But it started in Northern California. It now has over 200 communities across the country, South Carolina, Orange County, all over Southern California, Northern California. And they originally came up because there were white supremacist rallies in Berkeley and San Francisco in 2017. So that's context. But last year's event, as you know, was sort of the ribbon cutting for the Rainbow Crosswalk happened. There was an event at the gazebo in Pollywog Park. So the event that we would like to do for Manhattan Beach from the coalition would be a similar event from last year, held at Pollywog. And staff time, the coalition is going to provide programming, but we're looking for an amplified sound permit and microphone system, possibly a couple pop-ups and some chairs at Pollywog. And so, and potentially aiming for that Veterans Day is Saturday, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. Yeah, so it would be the Sunday, the 12th. And so very little staff time, but that's what we're looking for.
Okay, there's a
So we need a
request.
third one.
Councilor Montano?
What are the other cities doing?
I don't know yet. I think everybody's trying to do, I know El Segundo is doing pretty robust programming. Redondo's and the school is partnering with the schools. I'm not sure it's all set in stone yet. I'll find out.
City manager question, Bruce. When this came up last year, did Mayor Napolitano do a proclamation?
I believe so. Do you?
He did?
Yeah, I believe
I'll
so.
repeat what I said
Tell everyone I
earlier.
did.
Yeah, cities don't do, Abraham Lincoln did not make a new proclamation in 1865. He did one. We don't do proclamations every year it comes up, folks. You can recognize it, but you don't do proclamations every time. We've never done it in the city where you proclaim proclamation every year for the same event, for the same cause. Now, you want to change that? That's up to you guys. But I'm not a fan and believer. I think one proclamation, you can recognize it, but a proclamation is the first time you do it. It continues on past that point. But that's just the historical side of me.
Is it a word thing? Because is it something like a certificate? Because let's say it's Public Works Employees Week. And so every year during that week, we recognize, so it's not a proclamation, is it a certificate? Is it?
Proclamation, just a word you put out there, a
That's
certificate,
interesting.
but proclamation is the
Well, I'm
actual
still trying to
proclamation.
understand, is this group, is it a nonprofit yet? Is it going to be organizing stuff in the future?
Yes, the goal is for it to become a nonprofit. It's really ad hoc and really, everyone getting together. Like Hermosa's.
It's had a year to become a nonprofit.
I've just got involved a few months ago, but like Hermosa's holding the next meeting at their facilities, and everybody's taking responsibility for different aspects of it. I think the South Bay Community Church is holding one. So I would say even if the coalition, and again, we can talk more about this if we get a third vote, it's something, I think when you see, now we were so lucky tonight that we were not bombed with, hate speech, et cetera, but it is such a real thing out there that it's been escalating. I mean, just in the 2 weeks since the Cal Cities thing, there's been like 18 California cities Zoom bombed with the American Nazi Party hate speech, right? So it's a real thing. So this is just a fun little thing.
You're asking for staff time and staff assistance, what the ask is.
Or to come back, yeah.
That's right, Lester, go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm,
Sorry,
and
I
I
don't
want to
know.
ask you, because it is a request for authority to go forward with an event that's coming up in 6 weeks.
Yep.
So I just wanted to understand what the logistics would be with the third vote. Is staff looking to come back at the next meeting to articulate what the event would be? What would the third vote do, is what I'm asking, because this is, yeah.
Well, so my take on this would be from our conversations, is that we would repeat basically what we did last year, which was a drum circle, some staff at Pollywog Park, some speeches, sound system. I don't know how many hours of staff time, but it's not a huge event, but it is more than the 4 hours that typically we look for council to give us direction on. So
Okay, so, all right, and it's not also just to clarify before, like I'm not asking for money for advertising in a beach report or anything like that. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. I just think
No,
that
no,
that
I
needed to
get
be clear. It was more than just a proclamation. That's why I wanted to flush that.
Oh, yeah. I said
And
that.
just my concern before is still the same, that, you know, I have concern that we're turning something into another event for city staff to do. There's nothing wrong with the event itself, but it's something that city staff doesn't need to do, and it
No.
doesn't need to be a city event. And this is a great organization that can put on the event itself in Pollywog Park. The city involvement, you know, we charge other folks a nominal fee for nonprofits for tables, chairs, sound equipment.
Got
It
it.
just seems, I don't want this to be on the calendar for staff, that this is what they have to set up and do, because we've got these constant requests to, let's have a day, let's have an event. But then they become part of the calendar. We already had it once, this is the second time, so to me, we're talking about having a standing event every year, and we've got a lot of other requests for events that we haven't, you know, pushed through. So it's just, I'm reluctant to have city staff involved. The group, all these people come together, I think it's great.
Yeah.
They don't need city involvement with that.
I mean, I think it's a great point. About, does it have to have staff, you know, does it have to be a city event? Does it have to have staff involvement? I can't, those are great points, so.
I hope that the, you know, parents are out there teaching their kids. We're not gonna be able to pass a law against idiots, but
No.
what
We've
that we
tried.
could, what that we could.
Some of us still get elected to council regardless.
So anyone wants to make a third to make this event happen? If not, I'm gonna make a certificate for it and just do something like that. We're good to go? You guys are okay with that? All right. Next item is number 17. Consider request by Mayor Montgomery and Mayor Pro Tem Franklin to discuss utilizing general fund in lieu of grant fund to resurface, the roadway going westbound on Manhattan Beach Boulevard, beginning at Sepulveda, PCH actually, but okay. So when we talk about this, Joe? So those of you that actually driven Manhattan Beach Boulevard west, you know, Wells Fargo branches, you're at PCH and you're gonna hang a right down Manhattan Beach Boulevard going to the ocean, right? That's a bomb track. Now, Director Lee put so much money this year to handle roads that we know are coming in a cycle to make sure we pave on time. This one, no one saw this coming. But as more and more traffic is beating that road up from that corner, Sepulveda / PCH, MBV, it's ripping it up. If we wait another year and a half or 2 years, Joe, it gets worse. That was the whole thing. Why can't we just pave the patch from that intersection, right in front of Wells Fargo, all the way, is it to Oak only, Joe, or is it one street past Oak?
I think it's, I would take it to Elm.
To Elm.
Yeah.
We're talking about the westbound lane, 2 lanes, from Wells Fargo Bank Branch to Elm on the right-hand side of the street. That's northbound side of the street. So that's what we're talking about.
I think the weather had a big deal.
Are you talking about grind and replace, or?
No, Director Lee wants probably come tell, Eric, you want to tell them what we're talking about
And
as
what's
far
the
as
cost?
how bad it is? I don't know if it's actually grind and replace yet, or can they just top it with our one-size-fits-all asphalt repair kit? Or Jeff, too.
So this stretch of roadway, we've been considering from Sepulveda to Dianthus, which I think is 1 block farther to the west.
Yes.
And on the westbound side, potentially reconstructing all lanes, and on the eastbound side, 2 lanes. Did I get that right?
Just spot repairs on the eastbound.
Spot repairs on the eastbound side. We have no designs on this. A planning number is probably about $1 million.
And is there anything, go ahead, Steve.
And if I could also add, this is something that was brought up during the last CIP process.
Right.
And we do have it programmed in the budget for a few years from now. And so I think that, you know, if the council wanted to consider this request, it'd really be accelerating that in the CIP as something to talk about.
Vote for that.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I guess,
Steve first, or
since-
Councilman Lesser.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess I've got concerns about the leapfrogging, because if we're talking $1 million out of the general fund, right, we haven't set aside all the money that we need to for the Scout House, for instance. We haven't, we've got other CIP projects. We're talking about the pool. Is the general fund money, if we did general fund money and we push that forward, are we going to be reimbursed through our road funds for that, to Measure M or whatever other funds we can access, gas tax funds? I mean, is that going to backfill that, or can we even do that legally? Say, okay, we spent this, now reimburse us for it after the fact?
That's some research and analysis we would have to do. I think certainly there would be an upside to that. The other side of that coin would be if we didn't use those other funds that would be available, we could do other roadway projects in the future. But I think you bring up a good point as far as the leapfrogging of other projects, and so really it's a tension between what we're currently working on and whether we want to work on something else.
But I'm aware of the system that grades, maybe grade's a tough word to apply here, but prioritizes roads in terms of repairs. And there's a stratus structure of this thing. How does this road compare to the other ones that we already have in the pipeline to do as the next one we're scheduled to do?
So we do that, it's a pavement management plan.
Yeah.
We do that every 3 years, and so we are planning to do the next one shortly. And I would anticipate that this area of the roadway would be, if it's really as bad compared to the rest of the city, and maybe it's the weather is really weathered that section of the road, I would anticipate that would come to light during that study.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Lester first, and Mayor Pro Tem
I
Franklin.
think Councilmember Napolitano asked the questions that I was going to be asking in terms of what the survey is and whether the council had the ability to accelerate this project as well as seek reimbursement. And that's my concern here, particularly having worked on the COG as the COG delegate for so many years and worked with public works directors current and past, in terms of coming up with funds to help pay for these roadway improvements, which can be very expensive. And there's monies out there to help pay for our prioritized road repairs, but I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Pro Tem Franklin?
Okay, yes. Director Lee, would it be safe to say that, or would it be correct to say that if we don't address it, it could get worse? And then what would be the consequences of, seeing an even bigger problem if we're 1 or 2 years away?
I think that's a fair argument. I think it's with most infrastructure, it's cheaper to maintain it than it is to fully reconstruct it. Our staff, our street repair staff have been out there multiple weeks over the last month dealing with the issues that we're capable of dealing with. But it requires more than just routine maintenance. I mean, there's some significant reconstruction work that needs to happen, certainly on that segment. So I would say that this is something that believe it or not, we're really going to start working on the next update to the 5-year CIP soon. As throughout the winter, we'll be prioritizing that internally for recommendations to the City Council. I think certainly this could be something that we pay special attention to as we bring the next update for your consideration in the spring. One of the things that we've been grappling with at the staff level for these types of projects is we go out and design something that we think we have budget for, and by the time we bid it out and come back, we can't do all of it. So internally, on at least the staff side, we've been talking about the fact that eventually we might need to start requesting general fund dollars to go for these types of projects just to make sure that our roadways aren't falling apart. And I would say that we've actually been very successful on the grant side, but the grants themselves might not cut it. And I would think that we would be best prepared to tell you what we recommend in the context of everything else we have in that CIP plan, rather than a one-off.
Yeah. Your Honor?
Yes.
If I could, I'll cut to the quick here, because I do have another concern that, maybe if the passage of the stormwater happens, then that can free up some money. But cut to the quick, I'll be the third for information purposes. I think there's too many unknowns here to say, yes, this is a go, but I'm willing to get the information, again, without reserving all rights to vote against this in the future, but information regarding whether or not we can get reimbursement, what the condition is versus the condition of the other streets we've already identified that need a replacement, that were identified ahead of this stretch, and funding sources and things that we can deal with.
Fine. And also, I would add that, thank you, the pavement management structure report, when it will come up, when will we see it? To Everton Franklin's point, we're not gonna see it till June of '24. That road will not survive in that condition now in June '24. It's worse. So I'll stop there. Councilmember Howorth.
No, it's, I actually was pressing my button for item M, so keep going if you need to.
All right, I think we're good there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Director Lee's birthday today. Cupcakes outside for everyone.
Like Steve, Councilmember Napolitano's birthday?
Any public comment on this? Sorry, not public comment.
Oh,
There we go. This is the request from myself and Mayor Tim Franklin to discuss the general fund in lieu of grant funds. Oh, sorry.
We just
did that one. Sorry, Joe, we're on item.
No, item M.
Now on item M, future agenda item, sorry. Councilor Howorth, you're up first.
Yeah, I'll try to make this quick. At our last meeting, we went over the mural plan and, the mural submissions. And I was in a majority that voted down or said to, let them come back with the fire department mural. Since I was in the majority, I would like to, I'd like to make a motion, I need a second to reconsider that specific mural for the fire station with regards to using the shark mural. So I would like to make a motion, and I'd like a second, and would come back.
Second.
Okay. So now,
That will come back.
all right, but wait, I have one more quick one. if
Yes,
I may.
please, go ahead.
All right, thank you. What?
You jumped the shark.
I jumped the shark. I certainly had. So now, unfortunately, I missed the statute of limitations is passed, so I need 2 votes to get this on a future agenda, which is, again, I was in a majority. Your favorite topic, Mr. Mayor, the street signs.
Oh, yes.
And I would like to revisit that vote on the blue street signs versus the white street signs. So I need a second.
We didn't even get past on a month, and we're talking about street signs again.
I can make it a little more specific if you like. I would like to keep the white ones on the big ones, and I'll tell you why I got motivated. My son said, "Mom, where's that street sign I got, the wooden painted street sign I got for graduation?" One of his friends' moms got all the kids the blue wooden painted
The
signs.
ones you see for sale at Lazy Acres?
Yeah.
Okay.
5th Street, wherever you grew up. And I thought it just wouldn't look the same as a white square rectangle. They're not going to be giving those away as graduation gifts. The blue are iconic.
I think he's
so-
pushing your button there.
He is always pushing my buttons, yes.
Councilor
So I need
Napolitano?
a second.
Or I think
Need
Mayor
a second? Mr. Franklin, you want to see street signs?
Will there be camellias on them?
For you?
So Mayor, just to remind you, since this is not on the agenda, just a second.
All right,
There's
no more
second,
chitter
there's
chatter?
no more
You a second?
discussion.
I was wondering did you want to make the second?
No, I was.
So
talking
I will
about-
make the second with the following proviso. I really do believe in having a council discussion, having a vote, and I respect the decision of the council as a whole. In other words, this was an issue where I did not prevail at the time, and I respect that process. So it's not sour grapes, but I will provide the second vote to
Thank
bring
you.
us back.
It was just, yeah, then I don't have to be long-winded.
All right. Anybody else? Future designs? Joe?
Yes, thank you. So I understand we have an old ordinance regarding the overnight parking of oversized vehicles. And I'm just wondering if we could direct the city attorney to update the ordinance for council consideration at a future council meeting.
Is that the one similar to Beverly Hills or something separate?
Yeah, something.
What's the update?
Updated in what way?
Yeah.
Well, just in terms of the length, how long they can stay, where they can park.
Sounds like a change. I mean, you have to be, is it out of compliance with the state law? Because that's what an update would be.
I really don't know the answer to that, but I just know that the existing one is kind of old, and we just need to kind of take a look at it.
Okay, a second with information. I want to see
Yeah,
what it is.
and information.
For compliance. I know that Beverly Hills is a very unique and stringent parking program, overnight parking program. So I'll be the second for
I
that.
received 2 votes.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
And then a second one would be, I'd like to propose that we join the city of Whittier who is filing an action seeking injunction for the zero bail schedule to safeguard public safety and to join with them and I believe 12 or so other cities.
Is that considered urgency ordinance to bring it back, or is it not considered urgent?
I don't know if there's that much urgency on that. But we can find out. We can find out from the city of Whittier if you need some action by the council at the next meeting.
All right.
If there's a second.
Anybody else want to talk about this? If not, I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
Steve first.
So just, and I've responded to some folks who've sent this in, I'm aware of it, and, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, at least I'm not opposed to the meaning behind the action, but in these things, I guess my question is what's the dollar amount associated with it? Because when we join things like this, they expect to defray their costs by anyone coming into that.
Yeah.
And the fact is, this might not sit well with some folks, but the fact is that if they win, we win, regardless of whether we're part of the lawsuit or not. If they lose, we don't lose anything. It's already been filed. We're coming in, at the 12th hour, and what the cost is, I have no idea. If it's no cost, great, but, we're going to have to do something through our legal team to file it. I don't know how, it's not an amicus brief, so what is it to joining? Are we just lending our name, or?
Well, that's a very good question. At the trial court level, it probably would be a motion to intervene, but I don't know the answer to that. But that's something I can find out very quickly at no cost to the city.
Okay.
If there's a second vote, I can come back and tell you this is the process, and I can give you an estimated cost.
I'm fine with being the second vote to see what the process is.
Okay.
I'm reluctant to spend money on this, again, because it's already been filed. If they win, we win.
Right.
I'm glad to give symbolic support to it, but dollars, it doesn't seem to make sense at this point.
Understood.
Our dollars aren't going to make us win the lawsuit.
I mean, we did ask a council member in Glendora. It seemed to be around the $40,000 at this point.
And 14
level.
for us? No, 14 cities have joined, and that $40,000 is the number, so you divide it between them.
The 40,000 is divided
Prorated.
by the 14 cities, okay.
So we have a first and second. We're good on that one?
You'll come back with that information, though?
Yes.
Because that would,
We'll get that finalized.
great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we're going to move to the city manager report.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Just briefly, of course, the holidays are coming up, and right now, as it stands, the council has a meeting scheduled for January 2nd of 2024. So I'd like to see if there's any interest in moving that 1 week later to allow for the holidays to proceed without staff having to spend time over the holidays creating the agenda for that meeting. Now, this is a meeting in which, I'm sorry?
January 2nd?
On the 2nd of January.
Is that a holiday?
It's not a holiday. It's a day after a holiday.
That's crazy.
It's just the week before.
Are you good with this? Are you good with it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe's good with it.
I'm giving up a week of my.
So my suggestion would be that we have the changeover in council the following Tuesday on the 9th, and then a regular meeting on the 16th.
Paper Tim is good with it. I'm good with it.
I'm good with
Councilmember
it.
Howorth?
I'm good with
I'm
it.
good with it as well, so long as
That's fine.
the mayor pro tem and the mayor are good with it as well.
Fine.
It's fine.
5-0, you're good. What
Yes.
else do you have?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Councilor Howorth, you got something?
Oh, golly, no. I'm done. I'm finally done.
City attorney report?
Nothing tonight.
We're giving you enough to do.
And just once again, with respect to changing the date, that doesn't have to come back through any process. You've changed the date.
Okay.
Nothing informational. I will ask everybody here, closed session, nothing else. We have an important adjournment tonight in memory of someone most of you have seen around the city. I'll ask you to rise with me. Pardon the little longer than I would normally do it, but she's been a resident here for so long. So we're adjourning in the memory of Ethel Patterson. If you look at the pictures behind me, you've probably seen her walk around the city a ton and everywhere, especially 4th and the Strand. But let me just read the official byline here. Ethel Lund Patterson passed away September 19, 2023, at the age of 97. After, sorry, I'll stop there. Born on October 29, 1925, to Laval Lund and Grace Brown Lund in Hollywood, California. Ethel Haley Fund was a force to be reckoned with, and those of you who ever met her, you would second that. In 1943, Ethel enrolled at the University of Southern California, following the footsteps of her father, who played football at USC in the early 1900s. It was a natural home for Ethel, who had been attending USC football games her whole life. She would remain a season ticket holder for the next 8 decades until 2021 at Tunnel 22, for those who know the Coliseum. She graduated with the class of 1947 with degrees in advertising and cinema. After working locally in the downtown Los Angeles Garment District, Ethel took a job as a stewardess for United Airlines, flying from 1951 to 1952. Ethel devoted her remaining years to aviation, first in the Public Relations Department of the LA International Airport, later as the president of the Clipped Wings Association for former United Airlines flight attendants, and ultimately as the founder of the Flight Path Museum at LAX. In 1991, Ethel was awarded the prestigious LA City Career Service Award. In 2019, Ethel became the longest-serving active employee of the city of Los Angeles. During her years at LAX, where she served primarily as chief airport tour guide, Ethel welcomed many distinguished visitors to LA, including heads of state, movie stars, athletes, and musicians. Most memorably, she met the Beatles as they deplaned during their first visit to California. Ethel met her husband, Sidney Patterson, in 1951 in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The couple first moved to Omaha, Nebraska, where Sid completed his degree in dentistry. In 1955, they settled in Manhattan Beach, California, where they lived the rest of their life together. Ethel and Sid's daughter, Lieu Patterson, was born in 1964 and raised at 4th Street and the Strand, where the Pattersons have hosted many a party, especially on Memorial Day. If you've ever been on the Strand in Manhattan Beach, you probably heard Sid's Hyperion Outfall Serenaders or eaten a hot dog courtesy of the Pattersons Grill. They've given approximately 10 million hot dogs to hungry strangers over the decades. I'm surprised Steve wasn't there early. Ethel gave much of the rest of her years to SC as well, donating to the football team, marching band, Travelers Foundation, scholarships, and many others that she deemed worthy of her donations, and serving as alumni chair for the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority. Ethel and her brother Val attended every Summer Olympics between 1984 and 2004. None, of course, are more special than the return of Summer Olympics to LA in '84. Anyone who met Ethel did not forget it. She was egoless, but made herself known. She was also the boss, and friends adored her for it. She's an active member of the Alondra Golf Club for most of her adult life. She touched everything with a sense of passion. And recognized in her 50 years of service to LAX in 2006, the Rose Garden adjacent to the Airport Administration building was named the Ethel Lund Patterson Garden. She attended practically every game of her daughter, Lee Valley, coached for 3 decades and the head of El Camino Women's Indoor Volleyball Program and the Beach Volleyball Program. She helped raise her one and only grandson, Logan, born in 2004 in the South Bay. More than anywhere else, it was the strangers walking on the Strand in front of her house that got her an earful. The USC band once marched right down the Strand to her front door in honor of Ethel's 60th birthday. The band and all the guests had to leave that birthday night, but they don't have to anymore. So I'll wrap this up by saying Ethel and all of her friends can keep hanging out forever. And most of you may not know this, but Ethel and her husband Sid, along with Bob White, the Hyperion Outfall Serenaders, they were the member of the very first Hometown Fair Board of Directors in 1977. So a moment of silence, please. The fan wanted me to tell everyone the celebration of life is to be held Friday, October 13th, 2023, 1 p.m. on the beach at the bottom of 4th Street and the Strand in Manhattan Beach. Thank you all for that adjournment. And we're going to, and thank you, Lisa, Martha, for getting a picture of Ethel up there. And I know the Hometown Fair is going to recognize her as well. So our next meeting will be October 17th, Tuesday, 6 p.m. here at 5 p.m. at City Council Chambers. Thank you all. Have a good night.